Click. Rumble. Black clouds rolled across the sky, and black and red thunders illuminated the scene suddenly and brightly. Conquerors in the momentum are still colliding, forming a gust of wind that constantly raises the golden vertical hair and gold earrings of chaos. Behind the golden goose feather coat and the crane's justice vice admiral coat are also dancing wildly. Chaos looked at Hockey contemptuously, and Crane's eyes were sharp and cold. Almost without warning, a shock wave turned into an invisible halo pushing in all directions, and all those close to Canis and Stussy were pushed out horizontally, but they kept their eyes fixed on the center, where the elbows of Chaos and Crane collided, and the ground under their feet was constantly cocked and cracked. The entire number 45 mangrove area is beginning to earthquake, and the scope is still spreading in other directions. As soon as the two of them came up, the firepower was fully on, as can be seen from the tight body of the crane and the slight steam that floated up. She also entered the life return. Bang bang. The place burst and turned into a pothole. The two appeared in the sky 50 meters away. As the two fists collided and turned into a blast of air pressure, the surrounding lush mangroves instantly broke and were razed to the ground. Get out of here. Damn, there is still so much power in the collision impact so far away. That old woman is really not easy to mess with. The Golden Emperor refreshed my vision. Ah. The Golden Emperor is so handsome, I really want to marry him. This is the real man. There are men who are jealous and envy, and there are women who are full of love. But many people still watched this duel with a heavy face, and many pirates rushed over from other mangrove areas. It is no secret that the Golden Emperor appeared in Saboti Archipelago. The most important thing is that he clashed with Marine Vice Admiral Crane. Big news. Really big news. At the place closest to the battle, a big fat bird in the shape of a human wearing a tuxedo and a top hat, like an albatross, was shooting with a camera at the moment, and the flash was almost blind. And there are two videophone worms on both shoulders, which are taking pictures. Big news. Morgans, president of the World Economic Society, one of the kings of the future underground world. Zone, bird fruit, albatross form ability. It has remained in a human beast-like state for many years, so few people have seen the human state. It may not have become one of the underground kings, but it already has a lot of power in the underground world. It only takes a few more years to develop and it will definitely become one of the underground kings. Brother Parasparrow, Bro Cracker, really are the Golden Emperor. A pair of teams came in the distance, and when they saw the battle between Chaos and the Crane, their faces were full of joy. The headed man wears a top hat, is thin, has a long nose and tongue, and holds a candy cane in his hand. It is Charlotte Parasparrow, the eldest son of Big Mom Charlotte Linlin. Next to him is a tall man wearing a helmet decorated with tandem manes, a long and pointed beard, holding a sword, wearing a cloak, and a large biscuit shield on his back. This is Charlotte Cracker, one of the 4 stars of desserts in the future. It is just a biscuit warrior made with devil fruits ability. The real body is inside the biscuit warrior. There are also Big Mom's 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th sons, a tall and fat individual, all with short legs and thick arms, and you can see that it is a hand-to-hand player. As for the famous Charlotte Katakuri did not appear. Not only did the other pirates want to control the Golden Emperor, but Big Mom also wanted to control it, so Parasparrow was sent to lead the team. There have been 2 rushes, and this time I saw the Golden Emperor. 5th Rudder Lord, shall we act now? On the right side of Parasparrow's camp, a group of people also appeared and watched the fight. The headed man wore white glasses and a black suit, but he looked disdainful and extremely scornful. But when some people around saw this man, their eyes were full of jealousy, and they dreaded to get too close. It seems that this situation is not weaker than the reputation of the Big Mom pirate group. Indeed, the color-changing King Naruto, the leader of the 5 rudders of the explosive pirate group, offers a reward of 813 million, Zone, an insect species-capable person. When they returned from New World, they were ordered by the captain of the Blast pirate group to explode Kun Master Gotdai. The primary purpose was to determine one thing and catch the Golden Emperor by the way. Speaking of explosive pirates, it is the Big Mac pirates in New World. Like Big Mom pirates, Beasts pirates, Whitebeard pirates, and Flying pirates, they are all overlords, and there have been battles with each other. In the sea of this period, there were many people who could compete with forces such as the Big Mom pirates and Beasts pirates, and the Blast pirates was one of them. Its captain exploded Kun Lord Gotdai, who offered a reward of 3.482 billion, Paramisha, an explosive fruit-capable person, who fought the beast Kaido a few months ago, and finally prevailed. One can imagine how powerful it is. The subordinate is also full of talents. The most famous are the 5 rudder owners. A rudder, the main voice, Konzi, Paramisha, the sonic fruit ability, is offering a reward of 1.53 billion. Mantis King S. Subic, The second rudder is a long-handed tribe, zone insect species mantis form, offering a reward of 1,236 million. 3 rudder master barbarian king Haken, zone, ancient species, Ankylosaurus form, offering a reward of 1.18 billion. 4 rudder master battle princess Bettina, paramecia spear fruit capable person, offering a reward of 926 million. 5 rudder master color changing king Naruto, zone, insect species, chameleon form, offering a reward of 813 million. In addition to these 5 famous rudder masters, there are other powerful subordinates, which can be said to be strong like clouds. This era is the cruelest. There are too many Gyuki snake gods. Now the color-changing King Naruto is the first thing that has been confirmed. The news leaked from the world government that the pure gold that can delay life is real, and there is already a clue. I was preparing to go back to New World to report to the Blast Kun Master, but I didn't expect the Golden Emperor to appear at this time. At the same time, it is not only these people who observe the battle between Chaos and the Crane, but there are also many powerful people who observe in other areas of the Sabaody archipelago by seeing and hearing. Boom. The violent shock wave rolled up the surface, and the 2 figures in the sky collided fiercely. Chaos flew out and flipped back and forth in the air. With the crust rising under his feet, he finally left 2 traces of footprints to relieve his strength and gold behind him. The goose feather coat was dancing wildly. The Crane on the other side also smashed to the ground, retreating one after another, leaving a trail of footprints, his expression full of heroism. The 2 initially collided with a few strokes, and no one took advantage. Chaos looked around. He could feel a powerful breath in the all-weather release of seeing and hearing. It seems that some preparations have to be made. Snapped. Fingers snapped crisply, and thousands of meters above the sky began to pour out patches of gold powder, covering the entire Sabaody archipelago hazily like rain. Old routine. But very useful. What's the matter? It's raining. It's gold powder. Golden rain. No, avoid it. Don't let the golden rain get on. Damn the Golden Emperor. What's wrong? This is gold powder. Why is no one collecting it? Do you want to die? Haven't you heard of the Post Island incident? As long as you get into these golden rains, you will be controlled by the Golden Emperor. What? The entire Sabaody archipelago is in chaos, and the Post Island incident has only passed more than 10 days, and some of the Golden Emperor's abilities have been spread within a certain range. That's why some pirates will yell at them or even avoid them. Careful. Don't get caught in the golden rain. The 3 of Domir urged the Marines who came to support, covered in armed colors to resist the falling golden rain, and looked at the 2 opposing people in the distant field with a heavy expression. The Marines who rushed either found a shelter or held their coats over their heads, but even so, a lot of gold dust got into a small part of the Marines' bodies. The golden rain lasted longer than expected, just like golden drizzle. You want to use the trick of Post Island again. The Crane body rose with mist, and the golden rain falling from the sky couldn't get close to the body at all. At this moment, he looked at Chaos with stern eyes, and in the perception of seeing, hearing and color, many seamen came to support. Maybe some seamen have been showered. Don't you think it's very practical? Chaos smiled sinisterly, stretched out his hand to lift his vertical hair and revealed his smooth forehead. His expression was very annoying. Just when Crane was about to continue his hands, the voice of a phone worm came from his sleeves. But Crane didn't mean to pick it up. After all, it is now in battle. You take it. I am a man of martial ethics. Chaos put his arms around his shoulders, looking like Kunzi was magnanimous and not at risk. Crane stared at Chaos without speaking, and finally took out the phone worm. Here is Crane. Crane's eyes never left Chaos. The celestial dragons are going to the Sabaody archipelago to participate in the auction. The time should be coming soon. Your first task is to protect them. Sengoku is also on the way. Sora's solemn voice came. The guys in the Holy Land said they would go to Sabaody archipelago, and they were ahead of schedule. Not considering their work at all. You can hear Sora a little annoyed in the voice. What? Crane's face sank suddenly. Do those guys know the current situation in Sabaody archipelago? I know it suddenly, but you know what those guys are. Kong sighed, feeling a little blocked. But I'm arresting the Golden Emperor. In addition, Sabaody archipelago's current situation is a bit troublesome. With the character of those guys, it will definitely cause trouble. Crane's face became more and more ugly. I know that there was news just now that the Whitebeard pirates might also go to Sabaody archipelago. The flying pirates did not rule out that possibility. Since this is the case, they should be prevented from coming. The Crane's voice was raised a little. Could the Whitebeard pirates and flying pirates also come to Sabaody archipelago? In case of conflict with celestial dragons, these ruthless people, whether you are celestial dragons or Pegasus, will be killed on the spot, without the slightest hesitation. Sengoku and her alone may not be able to protect. She knew the urinary nature of the celestial dragons in the Holy Land. It's too late. After a moment of silence, Kong Kong spoke, and continued, I will call them personally so that they don't want to be too reckless. You can stop them when necessary. You don't need to listen to their orders, just say that they are my orders. I see. Crane hung up the phone worm after regaining his calm. It looks like you have a new mission. Chaos flicked the gold earrings, and the conversation between Crane and Sora could be heard clearly. After all, it's so close, plus what you see and hear, you can't even hear it or not. Celestial dragons are coming to Sabodi Archipelago to participate in the auction. Sengoku is on the way. Whitebeard and Golden Lion may also come to Sabodi Archipelago. Things are going to be big. There should be many good things that can attract celestial dragons to participate in the auction. As for Whitebeard and Golden Lion, why? It's impossible to come to the auction too. Also came to Sabodi Archipelago specifically? Or is it for yourself? I will let you go for the time being today. He coldly sterned his face, no longer planning to fight Chaos. I don't like to listen to you. What do you mean by letting me go for the time being today? You have to figure out that it's not whether you want to continue, but whether I want to continue. My Golden Emperor is such a casual person. You come and go as long as you want, don't you put me in your eyes too much. The golden pupils of Chaos were already in danger, and the goose feather coat and vertical hair began to dance wildly behind him. Perhaps he had sensed Chaos's anger. The whole black cloud was upside down in the sky roared, and the flashing black and red thunders became denser. He is indeed a little angry, because Crane didn't give him face at all. Still a little arrogant. This tone is unbearable. When you come out, you want face. On arrogance, he will fight for the first place in death. No one can be more arrogant than him. He has repeatedly emphasized that this is a matter of principle and there is no room for negotiation. Wow. The golden rain, which was still falling, began to gather together from all directions, and began to merge from head to toe in everyone's eyes. With sacred and delicate faces, 3,000 golden silks and palace skirt ribbons fluttering, the whole scene was completely gloomy. As the huge golden light wheel turned behind, the goddess stood in the sky behind Chaos, and she was 100 meters tall. Most of Sabodi Archipelago raised their heads, staring dumbly at the goddess standing under the thunder of lightning. Subversive, visual, and impactful made the needle fall in the audience audible. This is. Parasparrow, Cracker, King Naruto, and even the dragon all showed shocked expressions. Compared with the 60 meters of Post Island, the goddess has skyrocketed to 100 meters in just over 10 days. Everyone looked up and looked up so huge. The reason why the goddess skyrocketed to 100 meters was because Chaos was lucky. He sensed a gold mine on an island in the calm belt, but it was a pity that half of it was mined, because the current height of 100 meters of the goddess is the limit of his control, and no matter how big it is, there will be a burden. It will also affect the battle. Clang clang. The palace skirt on the goddess began to transform into a battle armor. If it was dignified and beautiful before, then as the palace skirt turns into a battle armor, it will be a heroic female warrior. Still murderous and cold. The golden ribbon on the wrist turned into a huge sharp spear, and its shock was even more shocking. But this is not the most terrible. As the huge golden light wheel behind the goddess lifted into the sky, when she stood on top of her head and began to split into hundreds of 18 weapons, the entire sky was covered. An oppressive rush toward the crane. The seamen who were far away from behind turned pale suddenly. Even the pirates in that range were all evacuated in panic. It was really F***K terrible. Crane's face changed completely. She didn't expect the Golden Emperor to have such a big reaction. Seeing that this posture is a sign of life and death. Is this man neurotic? What do you want? Crane is a normal person, very calm and rational, and his thinking direction is completely different from that of Chaos. Otherwise he will not become Marine's general staff in the future. People who live to the end are usually Cranes. This is called wisdom. If it weren't for other things, she would definitely be tough. After all, no matter how you look at the situation of the Golden Emperor, it is on the edge of the cliff. There are many people around. She only needs to injure the Golden Emperor so that the opponent can't eat Kabuto, so she will definitely not suffer at the end of the battle. For this reason, if Chaos is more aggressive, Crane doesn't mind continuing to press the Golden Emperor to death here. That is now, if you try it 10 years in advance, who has no temper when you are young? 1 minute. Chaos has sharp eyes and stretched out a finger arrogantly. Within a minute, life and death are in the sky. The body temperature within the majestic golden armor is constantly rising, and the wisps of white steam are getting more and more, making Chaos look extremely fierce and powerful. The winner will be decided in 1 minute, no matter what happens, we will give up after 1 minute. I want you to go all out to show how hard you die or I live. My golden emperor is dead, and I will die in battle. For 1 minute, I will let go no matter what the result is. Chaos waved his hand, the domineering spirit spread to the audience, all he pursued was a hearty battle. Many pirates on the sidelines were short of breath, and the golden emperor's words inexplicably caused them to come on top. This is the real man. Especially those women who are short of breath and can't wait to get chaos into their bodies. Handsome. Wild. Pull. The ideal man. He squinted his eyes slightly, and the brain circuit of the man in front of him was indeed different from that of ordinary people. But, humph. 1 minute is enough. He pulled off his cloak, he loosened his tie, and the temperature around his body began to rise. I don't know if it was an illusion, and he felt that Crane's face became a little evil. The most important thing is that she took off the gloves. The hands did not leave any traces of time, not only were they smooth and white, they even exuded a scent of washing. Do you want to use Devil Fruit's abilities? Kaios kept the king's contempt on the surface, but he was always vigilant in his heart. He has not forgotten that the other party is still demon fruit power. Paramisha wash the fruits. The ability is to wash any items, including objects such as people or weapons. The items and people that are washed will lose their original shape and become like freshly dried clothes. And the cleansed life body loses power and cannot move freely. It is said that people who are washed and dried by this ability will have their souls cleansed slightly, and their evil hearts will become cleaner. This kind of ability is really too powerful, not to mention that people who are recruited will lose their power and cannot act, and even their minds can be washed out a little. This is simply a bug. Boom. The ground under the crane's feet exploded, forming a big crater, taking off the sand and rocks. Almost at the same time, Chaos pressed down with his right hand, and the densely packed knives, guns, swords and halberds fell abruptly across the sky. The entire area of number 45 mangroves was bombarded wildly, and the 18 weapons that were over 5 meters long were all shot on the ground like missiles, deafening and powerful. The goddess who stood out of thin air, her golden phoenix eyes were full of icy cold, her right hand gripped the golden spear like the Optimus pillar, and in one fell swoop pierced the afterimage in the flying sand. Huh. With the afterimage rising from the ground, the crane revealed his right hand and swiped the spear tip of the oncoming spear. The ability to wash the fruit was used, and it could be seen that the spear tip began to soften at the moment of touching it. Whether it is a living body or an object, it will be washed away and lose its original shape. You are not only dealing with my goddess. An overbearing and arrogant voice came. Crane looked up at the man who appeared in front of him blankly, his arms covered with both hands could only passively defend. And Chaos rolled over and kicked out, the landslide swept the air. It was just a stalemate for a moment, the crane turned into a streamer and fell obliquely, a mushroom cloud and dust began to stand, the ring-shaped shockwave peeled off the surface and pushed the mountains and the sea horizontally, and disappeared directly in the radius of a kilometer, revealing the mud and mangroves that have not seen the sun for many years. Rhizome. Before the mushroom cloud spread and disappear, the sound of a huge metal collision came from the center. Chaos golden knee pads banged against the crane's knees, and at the same time gave the opponent a punch. After the collision, it formed a huge explosion and caused a big explosion. Shoo. Those knives, guns, swords and halberds stuck on the ground began to shoot at the crane from all directions, madly interfering with the crane's actions. Chaos took this opportunity to kick out a chain of feet. The crane could only passively defend, turning into a changhong and flying out. Before the light fell to the ground, the goddess held a spear and smashed it down as a stick. A terrifying storm soared into the sky, and the surrounding earth's crust curled up to form a hill, which was immediately destroyed by the hurricane. Crane rushed out of the dense dust. Before he waited for his breath, Chaos appeared in the sky, his eyes squinted and kicked proudly. Crane stopped on his head with one hand and fell quickly. As the pit under his feet expanded, the corners of his mouth overflowed. A trace of blood. 6 Styles Emperor Gun. With billowing air and waves coming, Chaos appeared on the side of the crane, with his hands facing the crane like calyxes, and the sky broke and the earth burst out in one fell swoop. Crane is very calm, perhaps he has noticed the trajectory of Chaos's attack. The fragrance permeated with the right hand became more intense, the chest bulged and covered with solid armed color and grabbed towards Chaos's head, while the index and middle fingers of the left hand came together to form finger pistol, which indestructible poked towards Chaos's heart. This posture turned out to be an attempt to forcibly resist the attack of Chaos, in order to fight back. Time slowed down at this moment, and Chaos's face changed a little, but he was still overwhelmed with the blow. At the same time, the golden armor on his body quickly squirmed to protect his head, and his physique was also golden and covered with armed colors. Exchange injury for injury, he won't persuade. At that moment, the world seemed to lose its voice. A ring of air pressure swooped centered on the two of them, huge air nade up from the ground, and hills began to crumble. All kinds of soil and gravel formed bullets that shot through all directions, and the clouds of lightning flashing above their heads were also torn apart. Ends. The billowing smoke covered all sight, and the outside world couldn't see the most central situation at all. Jingle bell. The goddess exploded suddenly, forming a chain of skylocks and shooting straight on the ground, and finally the tail ends were connected together to form a birdcage, which was covered with armed colors and quickly gathered. But it stopped when it shrank to only 30 meters. Then a slightly nervous and regretful voice came from the dust. "It's a minute. What a pity." The fierce wind pushed the dust to reveal the situation inside the birdcage. Chaos and the crane were standing relative to each other. The golden goose feather coats were constantly dancing, but there were many cracks in the golden armor. At the same time, Chaos's head was wrapped in gold, with the blood hanging from the corners of the mouth. The golden armor on his chest was also broken, dripping with blood. The opposite crane had a sharp face, and there was blood on the corners of his mouth. Obviously, neither of them took much advantage in the duel. With a wave of Chaos's hand, the birdcage formed by the swords, guns, halberds and the locks of the sky, all flew into the air and retransformed into the goddess. 3,000 gold silks and ribbons of palace skirts were flying and erected behind them. The golden halo turned. The cold feeling of murderous aura before suddenly returned to a sacred state. Soon after taking off, it quickly turned into a black spot and disappeared. As expected of Vice Admiral, I look forward to fighting with you next time. Chaos's vertical blonde hair was turning back to black, looking a bit narcissistic and arrogant. Clang clang. Without waiting for the crane to reply, Chaos turned and walked in the direction of Crocodile and Stussy. As he walked, the golden armor began to fall off and turn into parts. How to assemble it at the beginning, how to untie it now. To be handsome must have a beginning and an end. This time it feels so good. Chaos is gone. The walk is very colorful, but also very calm. There is a trace of arrogance, a trace of stalwart in the back. Crane also withdrew from his life to return, frowning at the back of Chaos's departure, and did not intend to continue. This guy has a weird temper and is completely puzzled. But what is certain is that this man has so little credit, saying one is one. The fight just now was really no more than a second and no less than a second. 1 minute is 1 minute. You must know that being tied up by birdcage, the crane has already sensed the danger. But the guy stopped. "Master Vice Admiral, are you all right?" Behind Domir, the Marines rushed up and watched the embarrassed cranes looking at the departing Chaos together. "It's okay. Go back to the station first, celestial dragons may be here." Crane didn't waste time, turned around and walked towards the station. "Be sure to catch the Golden Emperor next time, boss." On the other side, Crocodile and Stussy stepped forward, disapproving of this anticlimactic battle. "It's cool to get out of sweat when you do something. Go to the bubble hot springs and press the massage first." Chaos took out a cigar, rubbed his fingers together and lit a smoke ring with a face of enjoyment. Although the battle was not yet full, his body was hot. "You are the boss, you have the final say." Crocodile curled his lips, and Stussy was carrying a small handbag with a chuckle, exuding a ladylike temperament inside and out. But when he glanced inadvertently, Stussy's chuckle expression gradually stiffened. At the corner of the ruins in the distance, there are 5 people in strange costumes standing, and they can't be spotted if they don't pay attention. The head of the man wearing the octopus mask gestured to Stussy, which was weird. Stussy quickly retracted his gaze and returned to normal without leaving a trace, as if the glance just now was an illusion. I don't know if Chaos has noticed it, holding the cigar and flicking the soot, a fierce look in the smoke ring flashes. On the other side, the direction of the explosion pirate group. The leader of the 5 rudders is the CPO. Guntas, holding a 3-axe in his hand, looked at the 5 CPOs disappearing from the corner of the ruins. They can be chased all the time. Damn, it came so fast. The color-changing King Neridal looked gloomy. They got the news of pure gold from the world government, and they were discovered afterwards. Celestial dragons sent CPO to solve them. The two sides have already played against each other. 5 rudders, do you want to grab the Golden Emperor now, and then return to New World? Lhasa with steel claw weapons in both hands, his eyes are fierce. These two are the right-hand men of King Neridal, who are all offering rewards of more than 100 million. No, we can't catch the Golden Emperor in this situation alone. The danger is too great. Although the King of Color Change Neridal has a wicked eyebrow, he still has the IQ he should have. It is not only them who are eyeing the Golden Emperor, let alone the CPO sent by celestial dragons. If the pure gold news that can delay lifespan spreads to the sea, then the Golden Emperor will have to stand back, and no amount of wealth will have the temptation of immortality and youth. When the time comes, the sea will be bloody. At that time they lost the opportunity when they exploded the pirate group. Notify Kun Lord now. I didn't expect the CPO to come so soon. It is estimated that our pirate ship is under surveillance. These guys are waiting for us to snare. The color-changing King Naruto had to inform the explosion Kun Lord. He originally thought that he could complete this mission, and even caught the Golden Emperor by the way, but now it seems that it is impossible. Yes. Hearing the title of Kun Lord, Guntas and Lhasa looked respected. The entire explosive pirate group worshipped that man. Bluebrew. The phone worm rang, slightly hurriedly. New World, a prosperous island in a certain sea area. In a castle halfway up the mountain, the soft sun is pouring in. On the shore of the backyard swimming pool, there is a man lying on a sun lounger under a sun umbrella. During the lunch break, I can feel the charm of an elegant and peaceful mature man. This is a very handsome uncle. Da da da. There was a rhythmic sound of high heels stepping on the ground, and a woman wearing big purple underwear, short shorts, a scar on her abdomen, green shoulder-length hair, and orange pupils filled with fierce light appeared in the far corridor. It's hard to provoke at a glance. The four rudders of the explosive pirates, Battle Princess Bettina, besides being a combatant, he is also the head of intelligence of the explosive pirates. Kun Lord, there is news from Naruto that the pure gold news that can delay life is true. He is now besieged in Saboti Archipelago by the celestial dragons CPO, and the Golden Emperor is also in Saboti Archipelago. Standing next to the recliner, the Battle Princess Bettina was resolute, and she didn't care if the man was resting. What? As soon as the words of the fighting princess fell, the handsome man on the couch stretched out, and a pair of red vertical pupils opened, like the eyes of a snake looking inexplicably horrified. It is reported that the explosion Kun Lord Gotdai has the blood of the Snakehead clan. I don't know if it is true or not. Let Kans and S. Subic go to Saboti Archipelago. Standing up from the recliner, the explosion Lord Kun's height turned out to be 370 centimeters. With that perfect figure, the damn charm of a mature man has spread all the time. Grabbing the black coat on the back of the chair with one hand, the explosion Lord Kun lifted up into the air, looking in the direction of Saboti Archipelago in midair and exploded with both feet, and disappeared at the speed of breaking through the sound barrier for the first time. Bettina looked at the smoke and flames spreading in midair, took out the phone worm and walked back and started to notify the first rudder master Kans and the second rudder master Mantis King S. Subic. Kun Lord personally shot, whether it is pure gold or Golden Emperor will be in the bag. The screen returns to Saboti Archipelago, Chaos, who is about to go to the bubble hot spring, massage, and clean up his appearance, but is stopped by a group of people. This makes him very upset. Boom. The sky that had recovered its calm, the black clouds shrouded the thunder and flashed again. Conquerors is like a dam that has broken its embankment. It is powerful and unbridled. A disagreement is Conqueror's greeting. At the same time, there was a sound of heavy objects hitting the ground, and after a lot of flying sand and rocks were splashed, the figure was revealed. There were 18 golden warriors holding 18 golden weapons. Now surrounding the group of people blocking the road in the center, cold and murderous. Parasparrow's weird smile gradually disappeared, feeling the extremely arrogant conquerors, and the golden warriors all around, looking at Chaos in danger. That's right, it was Charlotte Parasparrow, Cracker, Conte and others who stopped Chaos. They hadn't spoken yet, but the Golden Emperor ended up fighting like this. The other party was too arrogant and didn't put them in the eyes at all. The Golden Emperor. Next, Parasparrow was even more angry. His words were forcibly interrupted and humiliated. Looks ugly and guilty. Wang Ji looked at Parasparrow with contempt, and didn't want to talk nonsense at all. The other party made it clear that he was here to make trouble, and too much nonsense would affect his mood. Kill them. Chaos gently waved his hand, and the 18 golden warriors flew out, really directly. Not even talking about the scene. You want to die. As a member of the Charlotte family, one has been so despised and humiliated. Just say it if you want to do it, and even humiliate them for their ugly looks. Deceive people too much. Desert Knife. Crocodile was the first to rush out, faster than the Golden Warrior. His face was full of excitement and cruelty. He couldn't bear it a long time ago. Going forward is extremely arrogant, as if Parasparrow and others could just squeeze to death with their hands. Ah. Stussy covered her forehead, and she knew it would not end so easily. Sure enough, if you don't agree, you just let conquerors go, and if you don't agree, you will cause trouble. I'm afraid there will be a fight next. Using a shave to disappear in place, Stussy appeared in front of the fifth female of Big Mom, Charlotte Ethel. She was a long-legged woman wearing a red rounded cap and a red jacket with a lady's cigarette, on the ground. Facing Stussy's attack, he drew a long knife to block in front of him, and the storm formed by the collision was mighty. Cookie Warrior. The most powerful cracker in the entire crowd can only be said to be one of the 4 general stars in the future, a very ordinary Paramecia biscuit warrior, but has developed a powerful ability with 1 enemy and 100. The biscuit with both hands was made out of thin air, and finally the biscuit warrior collided strongly with the golden warrior, and the strength could eliminate 60 to 70% of the people on the sea. Chaos smoked a cigar, focusing on Cracker. Only this young man can attract his attention at the moment, as Parasparrow is at war with Crocodile. The creation system in Paramecia is really greedy. Seeing Cracker constantly making biscuits out of thin air, Chaos said it was fake if he was not greedy. The well-known devil fruit is divided into Zone, Paramecia and Logia. Zone is divided into common species, ancient species, and fantasy beast species. Ordinary species are existing animals, ancient species are animals from ancient times, phantom beast species are animals or characters in myths or legends. Phantom beast species and ancient species are both rare fruits, and phantom beast species are even rarer than Logia. Zone's devil fruit can transform people into animals, with a total of 3 transformation abilities of human, beast, and beast. The human form is the ordinary form. The beast type, that is, the capable person completely transforms into an animal, possessing all the characteristics of an animal, so Zone should be the strongest in close hand-to-hand combat. The human beast type means that the body retains its human appearance and becomes a beast, and it can also turn parts of the body into a beast. After becoming a human beast type, the body's abilities will be improved, and the animal's unique horns, teeth, claws, body hair, and tail, the body parts will be strengthened. Compared with the grass-eating species in Zone, the ferociousness will also increase. Because Zone has life characteristics, it can also allow dead creatures to gain fruit abilities. For example, devil fruit weapons, like Enies Lobby Spandam's elephant sword Van Gogfried. Paramecia is even more numerous, the 5 flowers 8 gate. Among them, it is divided into 5 categories: superpower, superhuman body, creation, local supernatural power, and dominance. Superpowers, such as shock fruit, op fruit, have real superpowers. Superhuman body, such as rubber fruit and spring fruit, which can transform one's body into a special substance or object, which is also divided into active and passive. Creation, such as wax fruit, biscuit fruit, objects or substances can be created through the body. Local abilities, such as fleshball fruit, munch fruit, a certain part of the body is given an ability. Domination, such as stone fruit, can control designated substances at will. The golden fruits of chaos are strictly dominant, that is, they can manipulate gold. As for the goldenization of the body of chaos, it is only a short-term goldenization to increase defenses. It does not completely transform the body into gold like the superhuman body. It can be said that it is an application of golden fruit. It's like covering the armed color to increase defense. In addition, local abilities can also be regarded as superhuman bodies, and dominance can also be superpowers. Why does Paramecia have the highest potential and the most variety in devil fruit? That's because Paramecia has too many development directions. It is not like Zone and Logia. The development direction is limited to 1 frame. If this frame has the size of a fist, then Paramecia's frame has the size of a house. This comparison tells who has more potential. At present, the golden fruit developed by Chaos is only for control, and the prerequisite is that the gold that he touches can be manipulated. If it is not touched, it is impossible to control the gold in front of Chaos. Let's boldly imagine that if Chaos develops its strength and finally turns its physique into gold, all the shit pulled out by that time may be golden shit, or it may be developed so that it does not need to eat human food, as long as it can be maintained by eating metal. Body energy. In that way, Chaos may have developed into creation. Just like Cracker's biscuit fruit, it can make biscuit out of thin air at will. If Chaos could make gold out of thin air, it would be no different from a hen laying golden eggs. In this way, it is not impossible that the talent is strong enough, the brain hole is big enough, and it is also possible to have superpowers, superhumans, creations, local abilities, and dominance. After all, this world cannot be viewed with common sense, let alone devil fruit. The most important thing is that there is another kind of pseudo-logia in Paramecia, also called special Paramecia, such as poisonous fruit, paste fruit, waxy fruit. After talking about Zone and Paramecia, which is the most malleable, there is only devil fruit recognized as the strongest in the early stage, Logia. The biggest feature of Logia is that it can make the body elemental, thereby making physical attacks ineffective. In addition to special restraint that can hit certain Logia entities, only armament hockey and Seastone can hit Logia entities, and there are relatively equivalent Logia entities, such as Mera Mera fruit and frozen fruit, lava lava fruit. Logia fruit is restrained due to the different elements. Of course, the nemesis of all devil fruit is the sea. Everyone knows this, so needless to say, it is worth mentioning that there are different divisions among many devil fruits, namely heaven-defying ability, comprehensive ability, and natural disaster ability. Heaven-defying abilities, such as slow fruit, ghost fruit, childlike fruit. As long as this kind of fruit is hit, no matter how strong it is, you have to kneel. Of course, there may be accidents. For example, a man like Usopp is the nemesis of the ghost fruit. Or there may be a super armed color. In the pirates, that kind of ability is a panacea, but it is not an armed color. In addition, these heaven-defying abilities often have huge defects, such as specific gestures, the need to touch creatures, etc., just as Chaos needs to touch gold in advance, which is a medium or prerequisite. The overall abilities include meatball fruit and lucky fruit. The flesh ball fruit. The things that can bounce off include solids, liquids, gases, fatigue, pain, injury, heat, slashing, chopping waves, shock waves, etc., including all matter or energy can be bounced off. This is DAD, no dead ends. It's a pity that its local ability, hands are the key. If the meatball ability is developed to the whole body, it is really unsolvable. Not to mention the lucky fruit, it is a bug, the father of the father belongs to the grandfather. There are also natural disaster abilities, such as shock fruit, lion fruit, lava lava fruit, frozen fruit. These capabilities are like missile swarms, which can carry out large-scale carpet bombing and turn earthquakes and tsunamis into natural disasters. However, all devil fruit abilities are based on physical strength, and how far they can go depends on the basic skills. Snapped. Chaos snapped his fingers again, and there were golden figures in the sky of lightning flashing through the clouds and falling to the ground. They were all golden warriors. Hundreds of them walked out of the pit with 18 weapons, like killing without emotion. Army. Cracker himself was in the biscuit warrior, his hands kept patting, cold sweat dripped from his forehead. The other Charlotte members are not calm. The golden warriors made by Golden Emperor are obviously stronger than Cracker's biscuit warriors. Thanks to Cracker's ability, at least most of the pressure has been taken down, otherwise the consequences would be disastrous. Many people watching in the distance were dumbfounded. Watching the sky flashing with electric thunder, the golden warrior kept falling, just like laying dumplings. As the number of golden warriors and biscuit warriors increased, the battle range began to spread to the surrounding area. Chaos fell back lightly, a golden tributary formed a golden throne, sitting on it like an outsider watching all this leisurely. This posture is a bit arrogant, and the gangster's temperament is vividly displayed. It seemed that Cracker and others didn't even have the qualifications to let him take the shot himself. Nearly 10 minutes passed, Chaos yawned and looked lazy, and snapped his fingers again. You can't do it if you don't fight. The entire goddess, the golden ribbon, and the light wheel have become the golden warriors. Shoo. All the golden warriors suddenly stood up from the ground, forming a few square formations standing in the air, and then all exploded into swords, guns, swords and halberds. Gudong. Many people in the audience swallowed and looked up at the dim sky, with horror and stunned faces on their faces. In the next moment, the sound of breaking through the air was deafening like a swarm of bees. The treasure of the king turned into a golden river and shot out. The entire scene was bombarded wildly, all kinds of mud and gravel splashed, and the entire mangrove area from number 40 to number 49 was in an earthquake. The bombing lasted 5 minutes. After everything stopped, Wu Zhiguang stared at the center, and slowly began to dissipate the dust. You can see a large number of potholes appearing, golden weapons are inserted all over the ground, and a lot of biscuit warriors form a barrier, which is firmly guarding everyone in the middle. Cracker's real body also appeared from Cookie Warrior. He has purple hair and 3 hairs on the back of his head. The left and right hairs have sparkles. The upper body only has an armor and a pink cloak on the right shoulder. The lower part is wearing wide breeches and brown boots. At this moment, his chest was ups and downs, panting heavily, and there was a wound on his shoulder. The Charlotte members behind him were all embarrassed, but they were all okay. Boss, are you murdering? Crocodile and Stussy flew up, staring at Chaos. The attack just now was indistinguishable, even the two of them were included, but the impact was very small, and it was easy to avoid it. The main attack was still directed at Perispero, Afir and others. Calm down. Chaos snapped his fingers, all the golden weapons inserted on the ground were suspended, and the cloud cover was aimed at Cracker and others again. and Chaos only needed a light wave of his hand to attack again. The two sides looked at each other, and Chaos breathed out smoke rings to show the king's contempt. It's boring. With a touch of his right hand in front of him, all the fallen knives, spears, swords and halberds began to disappear through the sky of lightning flashing, and finally merged into one at an altitude of several thousand meters and became the goddess. Conquerors also receded like a tide. This action of Chaos made Cracker and others frown, as well as Crocodile. Is this going to continue? Do you want to become so fast? Wasn't it a posture of a man who was guilty of death, ugly and guilty? How is it the same as the women's days? This is too sloppy. Boss? Crocodile had questions in his eyes, completely confused about what Chaos meant. How come it's a snakehead again? Too weak, I'm not interested. Chaos tapped his cigar, ignoring Cracker and the others getting up from the golden throne, and walked towards other areas. No one dared to stop this time. Boss, you are not interested in me. Crocodile just got excited, it ended suddenly, and it was too uncomfortable. It's like communicating the origin of mankind. It just rose up and was about to enter the door, but suddenly it leaped. Only men understand that kind of pain. Lao Sha, you are still too young. Chaos turned his head to look at Crocodile and sighed, his eyes filled with his father's view of his son who hated iron and steel. There are so many Gyuki snake gods who are killing him by Sabodi Archipelago. They have just fought with cranes, so they really don't consume energy? If you fight with Cracker and others again, even if you win in the end, you will fall into a period of weakness. Then your life will be in the hands of others, and you will always maintain the heyday. When the time comes, you will run smoothly. Just like Chaos's arrogance, he didn't use his brain beforehand, and he definitely didn't live long. It seems you still don't understand. Stussy teaches him. Chaos turned his head to look at Stussy. Although his eyes were the same as before, Stussy could detect a subtle change. She didn't know why, but the woman instinctively told her that the man's attitude towards her was different. Responding to the illusion in her heart, Stussy chuckled. Now we are in a bad situation. We must maintain sufficient physical strength. The boss and Vice Admiral Crane battle should consume a lot of physical strength. At this time, the big mom pirates jumped out, so the boss thundered out, but did not think about the real desperate death. Just kill the chicken and warn the monkey and use the big mom pirate group to warn other people that we are not easy to mess with. Probably that's it. Boss, am I right? Stussy replenished Crocodile's mind in a simple and clear way, and then looked at Chaos with a smile on her face. Lao Sha, learn from the looks of our team in the future. Chaos shrugged and did not deny it. Then, as if talking to himself, he exclaimed, smart people are generally easy to make mistakes, and some mistakes are made once and there is no chance. Without waiting for the two of them to finish speaking, Chaos took the steps that the six relatives did not recognize. The gold goose feather coat fluttered from side to side, the lower part of the gold trousers began to turn into beach pants, the shoes also turned into flip-flops, all engraved with fancy patterns, very leisurely arrogant dress. Boss. What does the last sentence mean? Crocodile automatically ignored the first sentence. How could he learn from women? He is Crocodile, and he deserves to be worthy of his looks when it comes to being handsome. And he is very smart, just too lazy to think. In addition, he always felt that the last sentence meant something, as if it was addressed to Stussy. Facing Crocodile's question, Stussy's elegant smile disappeared at some point. Crocodile could hear it, how could she not? But. What are you two doing? Hurry up. Coming. As the three of Chaos left the number 45 area, many eyes followed. Brother Perispero, just forget it. Charlotte Gala is very angry, the Golden Emperor is too arrogant. Hit what you want. If you don't fight, you won't fight. It doesn't take them seriously at all. Damn it. Cracker, are you sure? Perispero looked sullenly in the direction Chaos left, and he was asking Cracker. In terms of combat effectiveness, he is no better than Cracker. 5 to 5. Cracker had re-entered the Cookie Warrior, and couldn't hear any emotions. It's not just us who are looking at the Golden Emperor. To be sure, let me know. Let Kata Curry come to Sabodi Archipelago. Perispero thought after thinking about it. Number 65, Marine Station. Port. A luxurious and huge boat docked, and 3 warships were escorted. Crane has sorted his appearance a little, and waited with Domir and a group of Marines. A pair of guards in black suits got off the boat, standing on both sides with their chests straight and serious. Finally reached. A proud voice engraved in the bones came, and 2 figures came down the boat elevator, a man and a woman wearing bubble hoods, wearing luxurious clothing similar to aviation suits, sitting on the backs of 2 tall slaves. I have seen Saint Rosd, Idalia's palace. He wore gloves on both hands, put on a coat of justice, and gave a simple military salute. It's too lazy to call any respectable titles. For example, add the word adult after the name. The male celestial dragons has a light orange haircut and wears sunglasses. It was the old man celestial dragons who was beaten by Luffy when he came to Sabaody Archipelago with his nasal son and daughter more than 20 years later. The current Rosed Saint is obviously more than 20 years younger. The female celestial dragons next to him is the Lady Idalia's Palace of Saint Rosed. She also wears a bubble mask, her long black hair is tied and she wears a veil. She is a very mature and beautiful woman. It's no wonder that celestial dragons, the first female celestial dragons, is a beauty, and Dare to Love is hereditary. Crane Vice Admiral. The Palace of Idalia's was very polite, nodding lightly at the crane, not as domineering and arrogant as St. Roswald, like a well-educated upper-class society. The current situation in Sabaody Archipelago is a bit bad. Sangoku Admiral is also on the way here. The station has already packed up the accommodation for the two of them. I will be responsible before Sangoku Admiral arrives. Crane gave a brief and clear report. Trouble. Yi Dong Li Ya Si Gong smiled. When Crane was hosting the two celestial dragons, the three of KOS had already arrived at the Mangrove Area 75 and found the most luxurious hotel. Mangrove Area from number 70 to number 79 is basically a hotel street. The two battles just now made Chaos a little tired. So find the hotel the first time, and then take a bath. I don't know how many people are staring at the hotel. Although no one has attacked at present, this situation will not last long. Pirates land on Sabaody Archipelago every minute and every second, and many of them come back from New World. The hotel owner can't control other things. Now he is counting the gold coins with the head of the Emperor Golden, and there are many waiters who are grinning. Now on the highest floor, more than a dozen waiters, several technicians and geishas are waiting. The Golden Emperor is very generous. At this moment, in the bath, Chaos leaned against the bath wall, smoking a cigar in his mouth, quietly looking at Stussy, whose head and collarbone were left in the bath, and Crocodile on the left, who also smoked a cigar and looked at Stussy. So why are you here? Chaos spit out smoke rings and looked at Stussy with weird eyes. He knows that Stussy is wearing a swimsuit, but is this kind of mixed bathing really good? My room doesn't have such a big bath. Stussy was calm, not embarrassed at all, and slowly watered her collarbone. Humph. Crocodile snorted coldly and looked at Stussy without the slightest desire in his eyes. Some were just disgust and disdain. It seems that the shadow on Post Island hasn't been removed yet, and such a big beauty is in front of her bathing in front of her. It's worthy of our team's face value responsibility, sexy responsibility. Stussy was not embarrassed, and Chaos was not embarrassed anymore, staring straight at Stussy's snow-white skin, but there was no desire in his eyes, and some were just windy. He has always been indifferent to his heart. There are too many beauties in Pirate World, not to mention that what he is looking for is not female, and rabbits don't eat grass on the edge of the nest. From the beginning, Chaos had no idea about Stussy. Thanks for the compliment. Stussy accepted Chaos's compliments of course, obviously confident of his beauty and figure. You're welcome. The soaking is almost the same, do you want to continue? Chaos stood up from the bath, wearing a pair of big panties. The bathing session is over, it's time for another one. Almost. Crocodile also stood up, not shying away from the presence of women. Then the next one. Chaos took a sip of his cigar and walked towards the outside room, Crocodile following behind. Stussy kept looking at the back of the two of them, frowning, not knowing what he was thinking. Almost 3 minutes later, Stussy wore a blue swimsuit and walked out of the bath. He came to the outside room and found that Chaos and Crocodile were lying on the bed, and several technicians were massaging. There are also geishas playing music, or peeling grapes, pouring red wine, and so on. Do you want a massage? Their technique is pretty good. After Stussy came out, she sat directly on the chair next to her, wiping her hair with her legs leaning over her head, and the two murder weapons were constantly beating. There was nothing to avoid. He didn't think of Chaos and Crocodile as men at all. No need. Stussy smiled intellectually. Since you don't have a massage, go out and inquire about the auction. Even celestial dragons are here. There must be something good. Chaos gave the geisha next to him a look, and the latter consciously took out a cigar and started lighting it to Chaos. The event is getting more and more interesting. The flying pirates and Whitebeard pirates may even come to Sabaody Archipelago. Looking at the conversation between Crane and Kong, it is possible that Whitebeard and Golden Lion will come in person. Alright. Stussy didn't refuse, got up and went into another room to change clothes. After dressing up, Stussy stepped on high heels, said hello to Chaos, twisted the water snake's waist and went out. Chaos kept looking sideways at Stussy's leaving sexy back, his eyes were cold. The gold earring on the left ear floated and eventually turned into a miniature golden warrior. He picked up a phone bug on the bed cabinet and flew out of the room. Chaos signaled the geisha to turn on the other phone bug, and then a video screen appeared in front of everyone. This is a surveillance phone bug. The function is similar to that of a camera, with audio recording. Boss? Crocodile was stunned by this action of Chaos, because Stussy appeared under the influence of the projection. This perspective is very secretive. The boss is monitoring Stussy? You all go out. Chaos didn't answer Crocodile, but waved to let all the geishas leave. In the picture, Stussy Kabuto turns around and gradually leaves the number 75 mangrove area, being vigilant along the way. The number 30 mangrove area is mainly soap bubble park and so on. Stussy came to a dense forest in the park, and there was no one waiting. Almost 3 minutes later, 5 CPOs in strange costumes flashed in front of Stussy. Stussy. The head is the CPO wearing an octopus mask, obviously waiting for Stussy. Any order? Stussy looks serious. Before Chaos had just finished fighting with Crane, these 5 CPOs had appeared before and gave Stussy a gesture. So Stussy followed the signal they left and came here. Did you really betray the world government? Octopus CPO's voice is very indifferent and does not contain the slightest emotion. If I betray the world government, I won't come here. I have gold powder left by the Golden Emperor in my body, so I can only temporarily lurk beside the Golden Emperor. Stussy was calm and didn't mean to respect. In terms of status, she doesn't have a low CPO in front of her. Master 5 Elders has an order. Let us first help you catch the Golden Emperor, and then we will clean up the gang of the 5 Rudder Master of the Explosion Pirate Group. Octopus CPO stared at Stussy, and Stussy looked at her with no guilty conscience. She knew that the above was already suspicious of her betrayal. These people obviously had other tasks. Now they have received an order and decided to help her solve the Golden Emperor. Then go to perform another task. This is temptation. Stussy was not angry. If she really betrayed, I'm afraid these 5 people will attack her in the first place. Clean up the 5 rudders of the explosive pirate group? Stussy changed the subject calmly. She knows the explosion pirates, one of the overlords of New World. The news of pure gold that can delay life has leaked. The Octopus CPO did not hide it, because Stussy knew the news of pure gold. Stussy's intelligence ability is not weak. Although the scale of the red light district is not as large as in the future, it is now one of the best in the underground world. This kind of place is the easiest to inquire. It can be said that Stussy's red light district forces are also one of the intelligence sources of the world government. So Stussy knows many secrets of the world government. If Stussy has really betrayed the world government, then these 5 CPOs will kill Stussy on the spot, and if they fail, the world government will send more powerful forces. Only the dead can keep secret. I see. Stussy looked solemn. She thought pure gold was just a legend, but she didn't expect it to be true. And there is already news. When do you act? We can assist you. 5 pairs of eyes stared at Stussy, like cold killing machines. Tonight, 7 o'clock. Stussy expressionless. Good. A word was left coldly, and the 5 CPOs quickly disappeared in front of Stussy. At the moment, in the hotel, Chaos was sitting on a chair, spitting out a ring of smoke with Erlang's legs upright. His complexion was indifferent and he didn't look very angry. On the contrary, Chaos was very angry. But his mind is all on pure gold. Those almost forgotten memories also began to appear. He remembered a theater version called Heart of Gold. It was about a scientist who smelted a kind of pure gold, 200 years ago, which can delay life as long as the creature wears it. The scientist and her daughter inside have not changed for 200 years, and it is no different from being immortal. Chaos knows that the pure gold is not pure gold without the slightest impurities, but is extracted through science. Maybe there are some messy chemistry and technology such as carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, genetic modification, etc. In short, Chaoses don't understand. This is really a surprise. According to the time of the theater version, it seems that after defeating Doflamingo, Wong Luffy offered a reward of 500 million Baileys at that time. This Golden Heart theater version is actually to build momentum for the Golden City. Let's not talk about the time difference. Now that we know the news, if we don't get the pure gold, it will definitely be struck by lightning. You must know that it is something that delays life and keeps you young. However, the world government and the explosive pirate group seem to be eyeing their own things, which is worth it. He has always robbed other people's things. When is it his turn to rob him? He was putting eye drops on him. Can't bear it. Crocodile on the bed was silent. Looking at Chaos from the image in front of him, he swears. The temperature in the room has become much colder, because the man's face is constantly changing. But how did this man detect that he knew that Stussy would betray? as if knowing that Stussy went out with those CPO connectors. On the other side, Stussy went to the red light district of Saboti Archipelago and inquired about the auction. Obviously, the red light district of Saboti Archipelago also had Stussy's influence. On the way to the hotel, Stussy was tangled with her small handbag. Are you really going to shoot that man? But Stussy remembered the previous man's attitude towards her. Although it had only slightly changed, she was still aware of it, who was sensitive. Especially the sentence, smart people are generally easy to make mistakes, and some mistakes are made once and there is no chance. The more Stussy thought about it, the more things were wrong. This sentence was meant to her no matter what she thought. With that man scheming, he must be beating her. Had that man noticed it a long time ago? With a sense of anxiety, Stussy looked at the hotel in front of him, took a deep breath and walked in. Many pirates around looked at Stussy, but they didn't make a move. Obviously worrying about something. I am back. The door wasn't locked, and Stussy opened the door and entered the hall, watching Chaos and Crocodile on the sofa as usual. Sit. Have you heard anything? Chaos tilted Erlang's legs, took a look at Stussy and then continued to pick his nails with a gold nail clipper. Crocodile was reading the newspaper, but he didn't even look at Stussy. Tomorrow there will be a large-scale auction in the first area. I heard that there will be an auction of mermaid and devil fruit. It's the power of Ocean King Umit. Stussy's big white legs overlapped and poured herself a cup of tea. Talk about the king of shipping. Kaios was still picking his nails slowly. Underground boss know it, certainly. At present, there are many powers in the underground world. Among them, the Ocean King is one of them. The main business is the ocean transportation industry, which is very powerful. Let's talk about other things. After listening to the Sea King's information, Kaios motioned to Stussy to continue. Except for the Shipping King, there is the tobacco man Thachite, who is in the tobacco business and almost monopolizes 60% of the world's share. The boss you smoked this cigar is made and sold by this guy. There is also the slave king Kalita Stalo, the largest slave hunting group in the underground world. Behind it is the celestial dragons. The last is the style woman Medusa, who is engaged in the business of drugs and medicines, which occupies 40% of the world's share. The power is extremely large, and it is implicated in all forces. Stussy paused and took a sip of water. Anything else? It is the first time I heard about the tobacco man, the enslavement king, and the amorous woman in addition to the Sea King Chaos. It seems that the future underground kings of this period have not yet fully emerged. For example, a certain arrogant man who was born a king. The only next power is the funeral home magnate Drago Peklo, who is in the dead and organ business. There are warehousing boss Stasher Gibson, king of Lone Shark Dewfield, Big News Morgans, and my red light district. The next few people Stussy talked about, Chaos had heard of, were all future underground kings. Anything else? Chaos motioned to Stussy to continue. That's almost all, the others are not enough. Stussy shook her head, utter disdain in her words. Think about anything else. Kaios blows his nails and looks at Stussy lazily. No, this is the current situation in the underground world. Stussy thought about it and found that nothing was missing. Think again. Chaos smiled gently, as if waiting for something. Stussy met Chaos's black eyes with a smile, and his heart burst for some reason. But she still calmed down. There is none left. Think about it again, maybe you missed something. Chaos was very patient, took out a cigar and frustrated. I didn't miss anything. Stussy already felt that the atmosphere was not right, and now she had reacted. This man was not asking if there were other forces in the underground world, but about something else. Is it? Stussy sank in his heart against the gradually freezing face. Call out. Chaos reached out and grabbed Stussy, who flew directly in front of him uncontrollably, and Chaos's smooth white neck was directly pinched by Chaos. Stussy suffocated for the first time, and the chill close at hand made her hairs burst. I've given you so many opportunities, but I'm still pretending to be stupid. What lousy hates most as a traitor? Like looking at a dead person, Chaos gradually increased his strength with his right hand. Stussy really felt the death, and his face gradually turned red and purple. This man is really going to kill her. The so-called Lianxiang Xiyu is just whimsical. I didn't betray you. Stussy shouted out almost with all his strength. She had already seen the gate of hell, and the desire to survive at the time of death made her shout one last time, almost becoming a swan song. Kaios' eyes were sharp, and he didn't know what he was thinking. Fortunately, the force was relaxed. 10 breaths in the blink of an eye can make life like a year for Stussy. Boom. Released her hand. Stussy knelt directly on the ground, coughing loudly and breathing desperately. The 5 fingerprints could be clearly seen on the white jade neck. At this moment, the air is so sweet to Stussy. It took almost a minute for Stussy to come back normally, looked up at Chaos sitting on the sofa again, and said, "Although there is an order from above for me to catch you, I won't do that. I will attract those 5 CPOS. If you still don't trust me, then I can kill them myself." If Stussy did not know the exposure, then she would not become the famous Joy Queen Stussy in the underground world. A woman who is too stupid will die miserably, and a woman who is too smart will die worse. You only have this choice. Chaos said to Stussy as if it were to Crocodile on the side. "I know." Stussy returned to that elegant Stussy again, very calm. "Can't see the panic just now." Crocodile pouted, but Chaos really wanted to kill Stussy that he didn't expect. He could really feel it. If it weren't for Stussy's last voice, it would have turned into a corpse now even if it was a second slower. "Get up." Chaos's face returned to normal. Wen Ruya couldn't see the ferocity and ruthlessness just now, and he was not embarrassed at all. Stussy got up from the ground and sat on the sofa again in silence. Talk about pure gold. Chaos is now very interested in this pure gold that can extend life. More than 100 years ago, a scientist named Miskina Asir studied the technology of smelting metals on the island of alchemy, and finally synthesized and refined a kind of pure gold, by some means. Things, shining like the sun in the dark, can delay the passage of life. Rumors of its immense value can buy the entire world. After investigation by the CPO agency, it was discovered that the Alchemy Island was swallowed by a large sea king's lanternfish. Someone found a trace in New World. It is said that this lanternfish likes gold the most. The most important thing is that the daughter of a suspected scientist appears. Even if it has been more than 100 years, it still keeps the appearance of childhood. Stussy told the known information plainly. Really? Can it delay life? Can it still look like a child for more than 100 years? Crocodile next to him was silly. He felt Stussy bragging. Chaos was smoking a cigar, thoughtfully. If the theater version corresponds to the time, it should happen more than 2 decades later. 20 years later, as the protagonist of the theatrical version, Miskina Oroja, who is the daughter of the scientist mentioned by Stussy, lived to be 206 years old, but his appearance remained the same as when he was a child, 200 years without the slightest change. This is no different from eternal youth. Could it be that Oroja came out of the lanternfish's belly ahead of time? It's not impossible. After more than 200 years, they may have come out several times. In addition, if Chaos remembers correctly, the lanternfish sea kings is a large sea kings, with 3 stomachs, and each stomach has a small island. You can imagine how huge this guy is. The most important thing is the lantern sarcoma on the head of this lanternfish, which seems to be full of gold. It is hard to say whether it is pure gold that can delay life, or it may be ordinary gold. But judging from the size of the lanternfish, even if the lantern sarcoma is full of gold, it is estimated to be the size of a small island. I have to be a good boy. This world is incredible. Even if it wasn't for pure gold, Chaos had to get that island-sized gold. Boss. Can't it be true? Crocodile saw that Chaos was thoughtful, not calm at all. It's true. The legendary island of Alchemy is in the 3rd stomach of the lanternfish. There are 3 stomachs in the stomach of this sea kings, and each stomach has an island. Chaos snorted and nodded. 3 stomachs. All have an island. How do you know the boss? Stussy was also dumbfounded. She felt that this man knew more information than she did. The lanternfish has 3 stomachs, and there are 3 islands in it. She doesn't know. I can predict the future. Chaos looked at Stussy with a deep complexion, his eyes swallowing everything like a black hole, and there was nothingness and mystery inside. Stussy was taken aback again, even Crocodile. They were overwhelmed by the serious expression of Chaos. Because Chaos didn't seem to be joking. Boss, stop making trouble. The suffocating atmosphere was interrupted by Crocodile's wave, obviously not believing it. Lao Sha, time will prove everything. With an unpredictable look, Chaos exhaled smoke rings floating in front of him, adding a sense of mystery to that expression. Boss. You really know the future. Crocodile has a few squats. It's really because Chaos's expression is so realistic. Ah. Chaos didn't answer directly, but he said softly. Stussy stared at Chaos closely, as if to see the truth. The 2 pretty eyebrows were about to get together. Seeing the expressions of the 2, Chaos was satisfied. He also wanted to put on a sense of mystery on a whim, and he achieved good results. As long as you are sure that you can predict the future, it is estimated that these guys will feel a lot of peace in their hearts, and they will also respect him a lot. Leading the team in the future will also be a lot easier. It's not easy to be the master and make the team bigger and stronger. You have to conquer everyone in terms of strength, aura, mystery, and appearance. Tell me about the explosive pirates. Just install it. If you keep installing, you will lose that sense of hierarchy. So Chaos changed the subject. Yes. Stussy recovered and started to introduce Chaos to the explosive pirates, but was always thinking about the future in his mind. Night is coming. A crescent moon began to climb into the sky, releasing white moonlight. Tonight's star space is shining brightly, and there are many people peeping at the hotel. All of them are young brothers sent by various forces or pirate groups. The floor-to-ceiling windows on the highest floor of the hotel. Chaos looking down at the window with red wine. The dim lights are still so lively. Boss, time is almost up. Stussy changed into a short orange jumpsuit, stepped on high heels and looked at the back of Chaos, while Crocodile was smoking in the living room. Then let's start. After drunk the red wine in the glass, Chaos turned to look at Stussy, then walked to the living room sofa and sat down. Yes. Stussy didn't know where to get a phone worm, and after dialing, he said the word action. It's 7 o'clock in the evening. Almost 10 minutes later, there was a knock on the door, and Chaos and Crocodile looked at each other, then closed their eyes and slumped on the sofa. It was time for acting. Stussy got up from the sofa and stepped on high heels to open the door. As expected, there were 5 octopus CPOS. How's it going? The 5 people filed out, very vigilant. I gave the medicine to temporarily stun the Golden Emperor and the King of the Desert. Stussy lied without blinking, and led 5 people into the living room, just in time to see Chaos and Crocodile lying on the sofa. The 2 of them breathe evenly now, and at a glance they know that they are asleep. Stussy, you did a great job. I didn't expect it to be so easy to catch. A thinner CPO sneered. What bullshit Golden Emperor, it was not caught by them. It's you, as long as it is a man, you can't escape the palm of your hand. The headed octopus CPO took a closer look and looked at Stussy after finding that there was no problem. Don't talk nonsense. There are a lot of people who are eyeing the Golden Emperor. We must fight quickly. I don't know how long the medicine can make this guy unconscious. Stussy walked to the sofa, coldly and unceremoniously, standing between Chaos and Crocodile. Bring the Golden Emperor and the King of the Desert. The octopus CPO did not waste time either, and immediately there were 2 CPOS, one fat and one thin, to catch Chaos and Crocodile. Boom. The accident came in vain. The whole room exploded, and the surrounding walls fell off to reveal the lock of the sky. There were no dead spots in all directions to form a birdcage, and it was dyed with arms and turned black and gold, and it quickly gathered and began to compress the space. On everyone's heads, a large piece of gold powder fell in amazement. Not good. Sneak attack. Be cheated. Stussy, how dare you betray us? The 5 CPOS were furious, and the other party was obviously prepared, waiting for them to come automatically. Damn it. The octopus CPO launched an attack in the first place, and his right hand was covered with arms and it was full of murderous intent to catch Stussy. Rumble. Chaos on the sofa suddenly opened his eyes, his black and gold fists moved forward, as the huge storm swept through, holding Stussy and Crocodile with both hands and backing away, he stood outside birdcage without hindrance. Don't let the gold dust touch it. The look under the octopus CPO mask is extremely ugly. They are now catching turtles in the urn, especially the large amount of gold powder that erodes them all the time. Chaos stood outside birdcage, his face was full of contempt, his right hand stretched out and held it in the air. All the gold powder in birdcage began to rotate and merge into one, blinking into an airtight golden ball, binding the 5 people in it. Only one head is left outside. What happened? It's the goddess of the Golden Emperor. Someone shot it. At this moment, many stalking people looked at the huge shadow falling from the sky and the explosion at the top of the hotel, which all showed that someone was attacking the Golden Emperor. Jingle bell. The goddess stood in the night sky, her huge slender hand pointed towards her feet, and the golden light wheels erected behind her all turned into stout locks of the sky, and the entire hotel was sealed off without any dead ends. The end of the lock of the sky was held in the hand by the goddess, as if the entire hotel could be pulled up and taken away with just a single hand. This scene is very impactful. At the moment, in the dilapidated room, Chaos frustrated his cigar and took a sip, watching the CPO with his head outside in the golden ball and birdcage. They were constantly struggling. It's a pity that when the hands and feet are tied, and only the head is left, it can't be broken at all. Even if it is broken, it is useless. Snapped. Chaos snapped his fingers, separated a large amount of gold powder from the lock of the sky, and forced it into the body through the nostrils and ears of the 5 people, and the effect of the control of the gods was achieved. The golden ball melted into a tributary and merged with the surrounding sky, and then lifted off to surround the goddess and became a ribbon on the wrist again. And the huge birdcage covering the entire hotel also began to lift off and turned into a golden light wheel standing behind it. Is the battle over so soon? Who on earth attacked the Golden Emperor? Many people outside looked at the goddess who disappeared into the night, and looked towards the top floor of the hotel. The appearance of the goddess seemed to have no effect, especially the lock of the sky that surrounded the entire hotel with great fanfare. No matter how you looked at it, it was superfluous. But what Sows wants is extra. B. One outfit is required for day and night. Otherwise it will be very dry. What Chaos likes is run. You really betrayed. In the room, 5 CPOs neatly kneeled on the ground, and the first octopus CPO questioned Stussy. Boss. Do I need to ask anything? Stussy didn't answer the octopus CPO, but turned his head to look at Chaos inquiring. Chaos waved his hands on the sofa. These 5 CPOs are not of much value. Puff. The sound of a sharp weapon penetrating flesh and blood, a pungent and bloody smell appeared in the room. Stussy shot like a lightning. Finger pistol pierced the leftmost CPO head on the spot. Blood and brain plasma overflowed, and the body twitched and lost movement. Stussy, you. Puff puff. 3 consecutive voices sounded. Except for the octopus CPO, the other 4 CPOs all fell to the ground. There was a 2-finger-wide blood hole on the forehead, and the broken wall at the back of the head could be seen from the front. Stussy's red nail polish fingers were ticking blood. There was calmness on the delicate face, as if 4 ants were pinched to death. I still use this guy. Just when Stussy was about to attack the octopus CPO, Chaos stopped it. Next, the situation in Sabodi Archipelago will be very chaotic, and we have to continue to make preparations. He has been eating by his brain, and he is cautious in his arrogance. Yes. Stussy closed her hand. She had already expressed the loyalty that should be expressed. This time there is no turning back. Even if there is, it will only be a guilt in meritorious service, and I am afraid that it will no longer be trusted. I don't know if this decision is right or wrong. You can't escape. The octopus CPO spoke coldly. Stussy knows too many things, and the world government will definitely find a way to clean it up. The next time it is dispatched, it will not be their CPO, but a stronger one. In the CPO spy agency, their strength and status are the lowest. If it weren't for being caught off guard this time, they wouldn't be without the slightest resistance. Funny. Crocodile smiled contemptuously. What they pursue is stimulation and heartbeat. Are they chased? They are too late to be happy. Even if they are not chased down, they will take the initiative to cause trouble to get chased. This is the purpose culture of their team. The moon is dim, and Marine is stationed. It was 9 o'clock in the evening, but the entire garrison was brightly lit, and many elite Marines were patrolling. Shoo. The 4 figures appeared out of thin air, and they didn't mean to hide at all. Who? The patrolling Marines immediately held up their muskets and looked alert. HMPH, we want to see Lord Rosevard and Lord Idalia's palace. A cold and proud voice came from under the mask, which put a lot of pressure on several Marines. Masks, fancy costumes, who is this not a CPO? The noise from here shook other directions, and the leader was a colonel. CPO. Compared to those less experienced Marines, this colonel clearly knew about the CPO organization. Where do Lord Rosevard and Lord Idalia's live? Stussy was wearing a mask. Her eyes were indifferent and her tone was imperative. 4 adults, please come with us. The colonel did not dare to stop, because he had seen these 4 people during the day, but 5 during the day, and now 4, and he was carrying a suitcase. Under the leadership of the colonel, the 4 Kabuto of Stussy turned to the heavily guarded residential area. Outside the most luxurious building, there were a large number of guards in black suits and sea soldiers. Did the 2 adults rest? Stussy looked at the guard captain indifferently. The 4 adults, Lord Rosevard and Lord Idalia's palace, have not rested yet. I will report them immediately. Hurry up. Yes. As the guard went in to report, Stussy exchanged a glance with Chaos next to him. There is nothing wrong with them. Except for the octopus CPO, which is a genuine product, the other 4 are Stussy, Chaos and Crocodile. Now that the octopus CPO is controlled, it is impossible to say anything. Master Vice Admiral, the 5 CPOs are here again during the day. At the moment, in the highest office, Crane, who was handling government affairs, also learned of the CPO's visit. Do not care. Crane just raised his head a little bit and then went on to deal with things again. She really can't control the CPO's work. If necessary, she has to take orders from the CPO. CPO, even Marshal Marine, can order when necessary, and you can imagine how powerful the CPO is. As far as she knows, the CPO seems to be investigating something, but she doesn't know anything else. There is no command above. What she is doing now is to wait for Sengoku to come to Sabodi Archipelago, during which time she only needs to be responsible for the safety of the 2 celestial dragons. On the other side, Chaos entered the place where celestial dragons lived unimpeded. Master Rosevard, Master Idolia's palace. Chaos looked at Rosevard and Idolius sitting on the sofa with a mask. The former was automatically ignored, but it was the female celestial dragons, whose noble temperament was very attractive. Real lady. It may be because of identity, so unique lethality. If he were to switch to the vulgar Chaos in his previous life, he would have a hard idea at this time, and a sticky suggestion, plus a wet process, and a soft ending. It is a pity that his pursuit now has been sublimated. Completely out of low fun. Otherwise, the words of love will come at your fingertips. For example, I want to hold your dash, put my hand on your colon, stroke your period, use my exclamation mark, and leave a string of ellipses in your parentheses. It's a pity that people have to grow up, and this is life. Pulled away. Is there a problem? Roswald was still wearing a bubble mask, and was a little impatient with the interruption of Stussy and others. Because he is about to rest soon, but he is going to participate in the auction tomorrow. It is said that this time there are fish, but he has been looking forward to it for a long time. We failed to capture the Golden Emperor, but we harvested a lot of pure gold. Tomorrow, the two adults are going to participate in the auction, so I sent it here. As Stussy spoke, Crocodile opened the suitcase he was carrying, which was full of gold bars without impurities, and the color of the gold was the highest. The density alone is more than 10 times that of ordinary gold. So it's very heavy. Roswald's eyes were immediately attracted. Under the light of the light, Crocodile opened the suitcase, and the gold bars in it seemed to be glowing. The golden color was very gorgeous and precious. Haha, you guys are doing well. Rosevard left the sofa and walked to the suitcase with joy. He picked up a gold bar and found that it was very heavy, it was really free of impurities. He picked up the other one and collided with each other, and the sound was very empty and beautiful. As everyone knows, the moment Roswald picked up the gold bar, a lot of gold powder had intruded into the body silently, which caused the weight of the gold bar to begin to lighten. The excited Roswald didn't realize it. Instead, the god assist picked up 2 gold bars and handed them to Idolia's palace, who had been sitting on the sofa. Master Roswald, Master Idolia's palace, we will leave first. Let's go. Roswald didn't have time to take care of Stussy, and then picked up the gold bars in the other suitcases and started playing with it. Idiot. These 2 words are all in Crocodile's eyes. Stussy is calm, and Octopus CPO is very anxious, but the control of the body is not in his own hands. After leaving the marine station, Chaos removed his clothes and mask, and this time he was free to wave. God's control has been buried in the bodies of 2 celestial dragons, and they can be used to threaten Marine whenever necessary. What if Sengoku comes? He must not obediently become his thug. Next, Saboti Archipelago can walk sideways. This is too smooth. Crocodile deflated cigar was a little bit lost. Boss. What should he do? Stussy also returned to the original shape, tidying up her short blonde hair and looking at the Octopus CPO, who was standing still on one side. Chaos didn't speak, but the next moment the Octopus CPO flew uncontrollably in the air, his body began to expand like a balloon, and finally exploded like a firework. Various pieces of meat and internal organs, sprayed with blood, stained the grass red. This guy has no use value. The retreat is ready. Let's dance to your heart's content. Kyos opened his hands, and the second-ranked man laughed loudly. Crocodile was smoking a cigar about to move, his face filled with irresistible excitement. Stussy looked at the 2 men and exhaled softly. It seems that life in the future will not be so boring. New world, a warship is quickly approaching the red line. Zephyr Admiral, the red line is here. An Admiral Rear Admiral pushed aside the cabin, entered the office and looked at the resolute-looking man, Zephyr, who had been summoned back by Sora. They planned to take the elevator directly over the red line and quickly reach the Grand Line. As for the warship is already ready, and the warship will stay in the port under the red line. Because Whitebeard and Golden Lion may appear in Saboti Archipelago, let Zephyr come back just in case. Go get ready. Yes. At the same time, at the height of New World, thousands of meters above the sky, a black cloud of lightning flashed, on which stood a tall, muscular man with short amaranth red hair, a flower-like white scarf, and a pair of black gloves. He was wearing black. A man in jeans and a pair of black boots with thorns. Charlotte Kata Curry, Big Mom Charlotte Linlin's most powerful son, is also a powerful figure who has cultivated his knowledge to predict the future. The first of the 4 stars in the future. Kata Curry is very young now. But he is already the most powerful person in the Charlotte family except for Big Mom. At the same time, more and more pirates landed on the Saboti Archipelago. There are plenty of people offering a reward of more than 100 million Baileys. Chaos and his party have returned to the hotel, ready to prepare for tomorrow's auction. I believe there will be many exciting things. In addition, Chaos is also very interested in what will be auctioned. For occasions like auctions, it is simply tailor-made for him. In the middle of the night, the marine station also ushered in a big man, Marine Admiral Buddha Sengoku. The next day, the sun rises. It is a rare good weather. The #1 mangrove area, the largest auction house. Many pirates or wealthy merchants and nobles are entering. I heard that there will be a lot of good things in this auction, including celestial dragons. Compared to devil fruit and exotic treasures, slaves are the biggest sales item. As long as you have money, you can buy anything, and the beautiful and charming female slaves are even more popular. Look at it, it's a skater Darius, who is offering a reward of 232 million, and she is as beautiful as the rumor has it. There were many reporters at the gate of the auction. All of them were extremely excited when they watched the big figures enter the auction house with their cameras. These materials are all achievements. It's the Phantom Pirates. The Captain Mononoke Lorian is offering a reward of 280 million. It is said that she is a paramecia-capable person. She really looks like a girl of 16 or 17, but who would have thought that her real age is over 30? Giraffe Pirate Group. That is the Prince of XX Kingdom. It's the Dog Pirate Group. Captain Dog King Booga is offering a reward of 130 million. It is in the form of Zone Dog Fruit Hyena. Look. Brother Pirate Hunter. Eldest Brother Glass King Rosefts, Paramecia Glass Fruit Ability, offering a reward of 240 million. Younger Brother Agate King Hackeftes, Paramecia Agate Fruit, offering 2 rewards 119 million. It's the Assault Pirates. The Captain Assault King Temeclan is offering a reward of 731 million. Behind him are the first-time Giant Elkaka, the second-time Playboy Rick Maimai, and the third-time Centipede King Minger Tate. All rewards are over 400 million Baileys. It's really a grand occasion. All of them are big people. It's worthy of the auction held by the Ocean King, and the network is so wide. The shining dots of the camera at the entrance of the auction kept clicking and clicking, and there were many phone bugs recording images. This group of reporters seemed to know everyone, making some pirates and princes and nobles look like big stars. Those who didn't know thought they were walking on the red carpet. Over time, more and more big players appeared, such as the Big Mom Pirates headed by Charlotte Perisparrow, the 8 Treasure Marines Green Pepper and so on. The Sea Marine is coming. It's Marine Vice Admiral Crane, that's Sengoku of Marine Admiral Buddha. Marine Rookie Monster Paluzolino Rear Admiral. Also. And Celestial Dragons. As expected of Celestial Dragons, Marine Admiral was escorted personally. The originally noisy auction venue suddenly quieted down, and even some pirates who were about to enter the venue stopped, all looking towards the end of the road with solemn expressions. Especially the tall man headed by the Marine Cap and Admiral Cape. Beside Sengoku are generals such as Cranes and Paluzolino, and behind them are the 2 celestial dragons of Saint Rosevard and Aedolius Pallas riding on 2 tall slaves. Ascending and looking over, you will find that some civilians along the way are all kneeling on the ground, which is the privilege of celestial dragons. Really like the creator. Overtly and secretly, many pirates sneered or disdainful, watching this group of people sneer. And among this group of people, a figure in a cloak looked at the slave who was seated by Saint Rosevard, with a slave ring around his neck, and his tail was held in his hands by Saint Rosevard, even a pig or dog. His expression was numb, and hope was lost in his eyes. We must overthrow celestial dragons. The dragon clenched his fists with unprecedented firmness. When the weird atmosphere was permeating the audience, the sky suddenly burst into the air, which immediately attracted all eyes. A crowd of people looked up, their expressions gradually startled in consternation. Bang bang bang. A group of 3-meter-tall golden soldiers fell to the ground, all holding gold shields and spears, stepping out of the pit to separate 4 camps, neatly leaving a path in the middle, as if soldiers in a military parade were waiting. Then a large piece of golden sakura petals fell, shining golden brilliance in the sunlight. 18 mini-goddesses with a height of 1.8 meters, dressed in palace dresses and handheld ribbons, with 3,000 blonde hair hanging down, all have different appearances when they land slowly, but all of them are all beautiful and beautiful. At almost the same moment, all the golden warriors put down their shields and knelt down on one knee with their spears in their hands. All the 18 goddesses put their right hands on their left hands and clenched fists in the middle of their abdomen, and then withdrew their right feet a small step back, with 2 knees. Slightly bends, nods and lowers eyebrows, leaning slightly to perform the ancient woman's 10,000 blessings. This turning movement is highly neat. 2 figures fell from the sky again, wearing a black fur coat, dangling a cigar with a big back, and crocodile with a look of contempt and impatience. Proper underworld boss temperament. Next to him is Stussy, wearing high-heeled sandals and only a pink short dress on her body. The two slender and white legs are smooth and matte, as if only a little upwards can be used to spy on the scenery of the absolute realm. The slender hand painted with pink nail polish carried a small handbag, and his right hand swept the hair from his forehead to the base of his ears to conceal the sense of shame in his heart. She is a little uncomfortable with this high-profile way of playing in secondary too. With the appearance of Crocodile and Stussy, a luxurious throne slowly descended from behind the two. The handles on both sides are lifelike dragon heads, and the back of the chair is the sword body of the Xuanyuan sword engraved with the sun, moon, stars, mountains and rivers, and in the throne there was a man sitting on it. A golden vertical hair is swaying in the wind, his face is cold and fortitude, his upper body is naked with 8-pack abdominal muscles, he is wearing a golden goose feather coat, and his lower body is a pair of golden beach pants. The original extremely luxurious and noble picture was ruined by the dress of beach pants and flip-flops. But as Chaos put his chin on his chin with one hand and his black eyes squinted at the audience, the contradictory temperament completely changed. Pull. Nobleness, hockey, madness, gangster, arrogance, contempt, etc. mixed together to completely sublimate the contradictory temperament. It seems that any temperament can be controlled by this man. When all temperaments are mixed together, it is that you are in me and I am in you. At first glance, the past is noble, the second is domineering, and the third is contempt. Every eye can see something different. Chaos was very satisfied with the stunned and shocked look of everyone in the audience, but it was still the last step. His eyes glared slightly, an arrogant wool of self-respect and arrogance of all things, extremely overbearing and radiating the audience. The sky that was originally clear and clear began to roll in black clouds, and the black and red thunders seemed to keep flashing in the air like centipede scars. That arrogant wool gallops horizontally and horizontally, wherever it goes, the wind swept people back and forth. Puff, puff, puff. A group of figures fell to the ground with their eyes turned white, and the expressions of the stunned people changed drastically. No one thought that the Golden Emperor would be so rampant that they would release conquerors if they didn't agree. Crocodile, standing in front of Chaos, was very calm. Holding a cigar with one hand, he swallowed the clouds without rush. Although Stussy remained calm, the corners of her mouth continued to twitch slightly. The man behind him put conquerors in a mess again. This appearance is arrogant and embarrassing enough, and it is not satisfied. How strong is vanity? Emperor Golden, you are looking for death. Sengoku cast his eyebrows and cold eyes, and stepped forward to block conquerors pouring. Although the opponent was not directed at them, if celestial dragons had any accident, then things would happen. Because Sengoku is in such a gear, celestial dragons doesn't feel much. It's just the gust of wind that was set off out of thin air, the appearance of chaos, and the special effects of the dimly electric thunder, which made the two of them pale. Obviously he was still frightened. The expressions of the pirates who were still standing or faltering in the audience also kept changing. The Golden Emperor was too tugged, it's too arrogant. He simply didn't put them in his eyes. Is this going to give them a slap in the face? Therefore, many people's faces are not very good looking. Seeing Sengoku come out now, they all watched coldly. Isn't this Marine Admiral Sengoku? Yo, and Vice Admiral Crane. It's been a long time since Paluzolino. What do you think about my previous proposal? Become the most arrogant man in the world with me. Chaos flicks gold fungia earrings, a habitual movement. As if only to spot Sengoku and his party, he smiled and waved to Paluzolino. This light-handed appearance was not taken into consideration at all. Sengoku, is he the Golden Emperor? Roswald Saint is very upset, and the way the opponent plays makes him very upset. Steal him all the limelight, can't bear it. Yes. Catch him for me, I will turn him into a slave. Sage Rosevard's eyes were full of greed, watching the Golden Warrior and the small goddess kneeling on the ground, similar to the gold sent by the CPO last night, without any impurities. Saint Rosevald's order made Sengoku frown. If celestial dragons weren't here, he would do it, but now the situation in Saboti Archipelago is very chaotic. He must devote his main energy to dealing with the two guys who are coming, and it's almost time to calculate. I am here to protect your safety, and I will send you back to Marie Joy's when the auction is over. Sengoku directly refused, he didn't want to be out of the question now. What? Saint Rosevard was a little stunned, apparently he didn't expect that Sengoku would refuse his order. Now Saboti Archipelago is dangerous. Our main task is to protect you. Please don't make it difficult for us. Crane's tone was calm and explained to Sengoku. Danger. What's the danger? The Roswald Saints are a little angry, who in this world dares to do something against them? What's more, there is still a Marine Admiral. We will explain when the matter is over, now please follow our arrangements. For your safety. Crane's tone was a little stiff. She would rather work for 3 days and 3 nights than guard the group of celestial dragons. Follow their arrangements. Didn't you come here to participate in the auction? While the Saint Rosevard continued to be angry, the Palace of Idolias spoke up, obviously more affair than Saint Rosevard. Humph. Although Saint Roswald was a little unhappy, he still obeyed the words of Idolia's palace. Tisk tut. Conquerors receded like the tide, and Chaos stood up from the throne, fluttered down on the ground and looked at Sengoku and his group. His contemptuous faces were full of sympathy. Marine Admiral is so aggrieved. If I can't stand it, Sengoku, it's better if you betrayed Marine and set up your own way. Or how about partnering with me to become the most arrogant man in the world? Chaos took out a cigar, frustrated, and wore gold flip-flops, walking and dragging his breath to the Sengoku several olive branches. I don't know where the honey is confident and courageous. Facing the arrogance of Chaos, Sengoku showed a stern face and then ignored it. Directly led the team into the auction, and did not want to talk to Chaos too much. But my heart has already decided the future for Chaos. We must catch this guy next time we meet. Now his primary goal is to protect celestial dragons and deal with the 2 upcoming monsters. Compared with the dangers of these 2 real monsters, the Golden Emperor is still far behind. Boring. Chaos spit out smoke rings with a wave of interest, and with a wave of his right hand, all the golden warriors and the mini-goddess flew into the sky, and soon disappeared into the sky. Crocodile and Stussy, who had been tensing their bodies and ready to fight at any time, breathed a sigh of relief. I was afraid that Sengoku would do it. This life is really frightening. Go in and show them what is called a rich man. Chaos snorted coldly, thinking that B was over like this? No. This is just the beginning. Leaving a comatose corpse, Chaos took Crocodile and Stussy into the auction room. The light was a bit dim, but he could adapt quickly. Chaos's approach was like a big light bulb in the dark, almost all eyes were attracted. It's just that there are still many vacancies in the audience, and it is estimated that many people will come later. Facing the gazes of these Gyuki snake gods, if ordinary people were frightened and paralyzed early, but Chaos was calm and composed, and even kept the expression of rubbish on his face. Behind Crocodile is also a tugging expression with eyes higher than the top and his nostrils scorning the audience. Very bad. Only Stussy is normal. With Crocodile and Stussy, Chaos walked down the red carpeted aisle. The seats in the entire auction venue were fan-shaped, from high to low. The closer you are to the auction table, the lower the seats are. It is the same as the seats in a movie theater, but with a large range. Puff. Puff through puff. As Chaos passed by, the pirates or nobles on the seats on both sides rolled their eyes and planted on the ground, obviously stunned by conquerors. Many pirates dared not say anything, but gritted their teeth and looked at the back of Chaos. Damn it. Too rampant. Many pirate captains looked at his fainted subordinates, and the Golden Emperor was simply bashing them in the face openly. Deceive people too much. Fortunately, the Golden Emperor didn't go too far, but stunned the people from the first to third rows on both sides of the aisle. Conquerors did not thunder as before, but rather restrained. This means that the conquerors of Chaos can take the initiative to control, instead of attacking indiscriminately or even spreading to the companions like the First Awakening. Arriving in the first row, there is no one. Sengoku and his party are not far away. A group of poor people. The voice of Chaos spread throughout the venue, and the flushed faces of the princes and nobles or pirates could be detected without turning around. Snapped. The snapping fingers were crisp and loud. The next moment the roof of the auction venue shattered, a golden throne, 2 golden chairs, and a golden table fell, smashing the first row and appearing in the audience's eyes with extreme luxury. Is there anyone in charge? Some fruits and red wine, don't you know how to look at your face? Chaos sat on the golden throne, smoking a cigar and frowned slightly. Crocodile and Stussy sat on the golden chair, and could feel countless sword-like sights, as if to shoot them through. The breathing of most of the people in the venue has become hurried. Facing such a hot and popular sight, both Chaos and Crocodile enjoyed it, but Stussy was a little embarrassed and melancholy. Looking at the happy expressions on the faces of these 2 people in front of me, I really enjoyed them. Do evil. Captain, I can't help it. Damn it, I'm going to kill him. Too arrogant. Calm down, the Golden Emperor has lived so rampantly not long ago. Don't be impulsive. Group anger is constantly being aroused, even honest people can't help it now. Facing those incompetent fury, Chaos dismissed it. As the waiter in the auction brought up some fruits, the auction officially began almost 10 minutes later. In the perception of seeing, hearing and color, there are many big people in the venue. Welcome everyone to participate in this auction. I am the auctioneer ye see. The lights in the venue began to dim, and an extremely charming mature woman walked up from the backstage, especially the pair of murder weapons with at least 36E. It can be said to be a wave of power, wearing a light gauze, wearing a red three-point style, even that the black garter on the long legs can also be clearly seen. This is a fairy. Still a very charming fairy. The lethality to men is simply 999. Chaos could even feel that many nobles were breathing heavily. Compared to the men's gasping, the women cursed, wishing to stab EC to death with a knife. Not much gossip, let's officially start. EC didn't have a long story, so she announced the beginning. Some do not play cards according to common sense. As soon as I got behind the stage, a beautiful lady waiter came out with a plate in her hand. On it was a strangely patterned fruit. This one was the secret treasure of the sea, devil fruit. Zone bear fruit brown bear form. The starting price is 1 Bailey, the higher the price will get. The audience was quiet at first, and then they started talking. 1 Bailey. Did they hear me wrong? You have to know that even the most trash devil fruit can be auctioned for 100 million Baileys. The brown bear fruit will know what zone is when you hear it. This is an animal known for its power. The starting price turned out to be 1 Bailey. Some nobles sneered. In their opinion, this devil fruit is not as valuable as a beautiful female slave or a strong male slave. But the pirates were excited. This is the secret treasure of the sea. As long as you eat it, you can turn from an ordinary person into a strong one. 50 million Bailey. A sound was deafening. 50 million Bailey wants devil fruit? 80 million berry. There are pirates with disdain. 90 million berry. This is the secret treasure of the sea. I am 150 million Pele. A pirate who seemed to be very rich directly raised the price to 150 million, but he was surpassed before he stopped for 10 seconds. 180 million, 200 million, 210 million. As it rose to 200 million Baileys, the originally boiling venue began to sparse. Many pirates sighed. Boss, do we want to auction? Crocodile ate the cantaloupe and turned his head to look at Chaos very comfortably. In his opinion, this devil fruit is very rubbish. As the richest man in the world, how can you not have collectibles? Chaos took a sip of the red wine and snapped his fingers. The ceiling that had previously broken through the hole began to jingle and the gold coins kept dropping. Jingle bell. Wow. The sound of a large amount of metal collision overwhelmed all the sounds, and they kept falling from the air on the auction stage, all of which were gold coins with the portrait of Chaos printed. Everyone is stupid. Look at the gold coins that keep falling on the ground. What a luxury. So rich. Is there a higher price? The auctioneer Yeez secretly sent Chiyubo to look at Chaos, winking like silk as if he was about to melt Chaos into his body, and the sorrow could be said to be overwhelming the audience. Chaos smoked a cigar, as if the gold coin was just a drizzle to him. It is indeed drizzle. Is there a higher price? Is there a price higher than the price of Lord Golden Emperor? Congratulations, Lord Golden Emperor, this devil fruit is yours. Yi Si waved to the waiter to send devil fruit down. Immediately after that, 2 strong men came out from the backstage and picked up the scattered gold coins. Although their professionalism kept them calm, when all the gold was packed, they all trembled. This value has exceeded 1 billion Baileys. Regardless of density or material, it is pure gold of first-class quality. Buying a zone devil fruit with more than 1 billion Baileys gold coins can only be said to be wealthy. Using so much gold to auction an ordinary zone, idiot. Although many people scolded, they were jealous in their hearts. It's so arrogant. Smash with gold directly. And it's stinking shameless, and the gold coins are printed with their own heads on both sides. Grass. The more I watched, the more I wanted to stab the Golden Emperor. Next is the second devil fruit, zone squirrel fruit brown rat form. The starting price is still 1 Bailey. Yi Si didn't waste time, and didn't know if it was intentional. The pair of 36E Wave 1 hegemony kept beating against Chaos. Even more showy. Chaos didn't even lift his head, and threw the brown bear fruit in his hand. After observing it for a while, it was the same, raised his hand and threw it out of the ceiling, and flew out into the air to be automatically caught by the Golden Warrior, then sent it to the hands of the goddess, and then put it into the body. 100 meters tall, he was taller than Ultraman. As long as Chaos is willing, the inner space of the goddess body can be formed. Many people reluctantly withdrew their gazes from the broken ceiling and continued to compete for the second devil fruit. 100 million. The first pirate directly opened his mouth for 100 million, and it seemed that he wanted to pick up the leak. What a pity, 110 million. 130 million. 150 million. This devil fruit was not photographed by many people, and its value is far less than that of brown bear fruit. 300 million. The extremely arrogant voice shouted, causing all eyes to turn to one direction. Even chaos is the same. It's celestial dragons. Are celestial dragons going to shoot? Huh. Celestial dragons seems to be provoking the Golden Emperor. At this moment, Saint Roseval looked at chaos with disdain, just like looking at a lowly beggar. It was obvious that the things outside made him unhappy. As for why the first one was not auctioned, I don't know why. Chaos took a sip of his cigar slowly, and then casually snapped his fingers, and the beautiful sound of jingle bells rang in the air again. The rain of gold coins began to crackle and fall on the auction stage again. This time is double the previous time. If the auctioned brown bear fruit is 1 billion Baileys, it will be 2 billion Baileys this time. Everyone, please wait a moment, we need to proofread Lord Golden Emperor's gold. The auctioneer Yi Si showed a spring breeze, and quickly waved 3 strong men and an old man with glasses who looked like a scholar. 1 minute later, the old scholar said a word in Yi Si's ear. It has just been determined that the gold coins of Lord Golden Emperor have a minimum value of 2 billion Baileys. Will Lord Celestial Dragons continue to bid? With her sexy red lips open, Yi Si looked at Rosevard Saint with winking eyes. What? 2 billion Baileys worth? The whole audience was shocked by Yi Yi's words. Damn it. How can so much money? That rumor is true. As long as you catch the Golden Emperor, you can become the richest person in the world. To seize the Golden Emperor is equivalent to seizing the whole world. Damn it. Whether it was a pirate or a nobleman, his eyes were red. Even Saint Rosd was taken aback. 2 billion Baileys in one shot? Rosevard Saint did not frighten him. The mere 2 billion Baileys was a drizzle for him, and the money was just a number for celestial dragons. Jingle bell. Chaos didn't speak, and gold coins rained again in the air. The price given by the Golden Emperor is 3 billion Baileys. The old scholar finished the count in 10 seconds, and he didn't know how to do it. Anyway, he had already counted it. At this moment, all sights appeared on St. Rosd again. Damn, he only took 3 billion Baileys with him this time. 3.5 billion Baileys. St. Rosd is still very hard-spirited. Jingle bell, 5 billion Baileys. The old man couldn't speak clearly, and he kept swallowing his saliva and looked at the pile of gold coins. Grass. Everyone in the audience split their eyes, staring at the pile of golden coins. Is this rich? Is he showing off? It's just a fruit, it doesn't need to spend so many Baileys. Just when St. Roswald wanted to continue the bidding, the Idolia's palace next to him stopped it, but the look in Chaos's eyes was a bit wrong. Humph. St. Roswald snorted. He was not interested in devil fruit at all, he was interested in slaves. Are there any bids? Seeing that St. Rosd remained silent, IIS couldn't help but scan the audience. This time it happened. Only 2 ordinary devil fruits were auctioned for 6 billion Baileys. This is something she has never encountered before in this industry. How hang? All the people present are scum compared to the Golden Emperor. 5 billion Baileys at a time, twice. Congratulations, Lord Golden Emperor, for obtaining this devil fruit in the form of a golden rat. Yiza's charming face smiled like a chrysanthemum. As long as Chaos wanted, she could swallow the entire Optimus Prime and bring unprecedented excitement and service. Poor ghost. Crocodile smoked a cigar and looked at Rosevard Saint with disdain. The sound is also surprisingly loud, at least everyone in the audience can hear it. Then the whole meeting was silent. Someone even said that celestial dragons are poor ghosts. What is wild? This is it. Lao Sha, you are not authentic. This is my line. Chaos had a dark face, and Crocodile even installed his B. There was no sense of disobedience in that way. This guy is no longer the old Shah he just met. Changed. Boss, this feeling is so cool. Crocodile swallows clouds and mists, although pretending to be calm, the corners of his eyes can't stop being squinted. Obviously, the hand B just now has greatly satisfied his vanity. He feels a bit addicted. Seeing those dumbfounded, full of envy and jealousy, Crocodile felt relieved. Stussy looked at these 2 guys, rubbing her forehead and her eyes were full of melancholy. How to do? She can't get in at all, it's so embarrassing. Being a normal person with them is completely out of place. Poor ghost. Although Crocodile installed the first hand B, Chaos went on to install the second one. He will slurp the wool twice. Although this kind of wealthy bee has a rotten streak, it also depends on the identity of the other party. Now this occasion couldn't be more suitable. That's celestial dragons. The descendants of God, the Creator, can mobilize the world nobles of Marine Admiral at any time. When it comes to power and wealth, no one can match this group of people. But now there is. Sengoku, catch him for me. The anger of Saint Rosevard rushed upwards, and the other party actually said that he was a poor ghost, and said twice. Uncle can bear and sister-in-law cannot bear. He hated the two people's trash, contempt in their eyes, and he wanted to gouge out the eyes of these two people. Emperor Golden, you better be honest with me. Sengoku had a headache. He tilted his head to look at Chaos with a warning. If it weren't for a special period, he would have done it a long time ago. Oh, it's Marine Admiral, it's overbearing. But it's a pity that I only obey the orders of the poor ghosts. Kaios didn't pay attention to Sengoku's warnings at all, smoking a cigar and adding fuel to the fire and talking coldly. I'm going to die. No matter who the other party is, just do it right. It is impossible to be low-key, and it is impossible to be low-key in this life. In his bones, he is allowed to stir up trouble and make trouble everywhere. This is life. Ahem. Next is the third devil fruit, Zone Canine Fruit Weasel form. Izzy on the auction stage saw that the atmosphere became more and more depressed, as if a surging volcano was about to erupt. She quickly changed the subject and brought the whole back to the auction. If the Golden Emperor had a conflict with celestial dragons, the auction would have ended so hastily. How did she squeeze wool from the Golden Emperor? The starting price is still 1 Bailey, 120 million. 130 million. The atmosphere in the venue slowly began to warm up, but the Rosevard Saint from the Marine camp was furious, and Sengoku calmly didn't pay much attention to it. Jingle bell. The rain of gold coins fell again in the sky, and the melodious ethereal sound was the sound of wealth. The meeting place, which had been warming up, was once again audible. Everyone looked at the golden coins that kept falling down on the stage. Master Golden Emperor bid 1 billion Baileys, is there a higher one? The old man still clicked quickly, as if he could tell what Pele corresponds to the pile of gold coins at a glance. Billion Baileys at a time. Yi looked expectantly at Rosevard Saint. 2 billion. The other party did not disappoint her. Jingle bell. Master Jindy bid 3 billion Baileys. Damn it, Sengoku, give me a hand to catch him. Saint Roswald was completely mad, stood up and scolded Sengoku. He can't be so angry. Dignified Marine Admiral, he was ordered in front of the audience, he was also one of the best in the sea, but he was ordered just like that. Just like a dog. Look, there is no morality at all, the poor ghost is the poor ghost, and they are also angry. If you can't afford to auction, you can't afford to auction, and if you are poor, you can't afford it. Dignified Buddha Sengoku, Marine Admiral, who would dare not give face in the sea, but now it is like a dog being reprimanded. I said Sengoku, you listen to my other way, is it not good to be a marshal by yourself? Paluzalino, look at the current situation of Sengoku, and you will be like this in the future. Frustrated. Even a man can't bear this kind of anger. Chaos continued to add fuel to the fire, not afraid of big things, just not big things. All the nobles and pirates in the audience watched Chaos, who was madly talking, and their eyes kept jumping again. It is said that the Golden Emperor is arrogant, and now it is more than arrogant, it is very arrogant, not afraid of death. Although it is stupid, but I have to admire it. Not everyone has the stupidity and courage of the Golden Emperor. Enough. Sengoku had a sullen face and looked at Chaos with murderous eyes, as if he would be violent in the next moment. This guy is really hateful. But anger was anger, but Sengoku remained calm. What scene has he not seen? To be honest, he didn't take the Golden Emperor seriously. With a glance, in the last row of positions, there was a figure standing in the position of the last row, holding a black umbrella, looking at them with interest in this direction. Damn, even this guy is there. Not only Sengoku found out, but Crane found out too. My heart sank. Because this man has killed celestial dragons before, and he has learned from the past. Lonely Red Barlaric Letterfield. Chaos also took a glimpse of it. As the man appeared, he could clearly feel the vigilance of Sengoku and Crane. You can do whatever you want. Sengoku is expected to have some scruples. Sir Roswald, if you want to auction things, you should play fair, and now you have to listen to me, for your safety. Sengoku is very serious and confronts the Saint Rosd, and his tone cannot be rejected. Sengoku, how dare you resist my orders again and again? Call Sora and ask him to send other admiral to Saboti Archipelago. When did Saint Rosd suffer this kind of anger? After making up his mind to return to Marie Joy's, pressure 5 elders to deprive Sengoku of his admiral status and make this guy the lowest level jumble soldier. No, Marshal Sora had already given me orders before coming. You don't have to follow your orders whenever necessary. If you don't want to continue participating in the auction, I will forcibly take you back to Marie Joy's. Sengoku stared coldly. He could get out of this situation even if it got to 5 elders. He is admiral, not a mere Cao Chong or jumble soldier. If Garp was here, he would ignore the idiot, and even hit people when he got anxious. That means he has a good temper and takes care of the overall situation. Crane Vice Admiral, is there something going on? Compared to the violent St. Roswald, Idalia's palace clearly noticed something. A lot calmer and smarter than Rosed Saint. The Lonely Red is behind. In addition, we have received news that Whitebeard and Golden Lion of New World may also come to Saboti Archipelago. The situation is now a bit serious. For your safety, we cannot act rashly, and Marshal Empty has dispatched Zephyr Admiral. After this auction is over, we will send you back to Marineford as soon as possible. Crane sat behind the Palace of Idalias and explained in a low voice. Compared to the arrogance of St. Roswald, Idalia's palace can obviously hear some words. What? Lonely Red? Is it the big thief who killed the XX Saint 3 years ago? The complexion of Idonia's palace was a little pale, and the death of the 3 celestial dragons 3 years ago shocked Marie Joyce. Her memory is still fresh. Yes. Crane nodded seriously. Let's go back to Marie Joyce now. Yidongliasi Palace was panicked. She turned her head and didn't see the Lonely Red, because she didn't know her. But she has heard of the reputation of Lonely Red, Whitebeard, and Golden Lion. These are fierce and cruel pirates, even Marine Admiral can hardly deal with them. As long as you want. Crane breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. As long as these 2 people are sent away, all worries will be gone. She will clean up the happiest Golden Emperor in the first time. I am afraid that Whitebeard and Golden Lion came to Saboti Archipelago for the sake of the Golden Emperor. What? My things haven't been auctioned yet, how can I go back? Rosevard Saint directly rejected the proposal of Idalia's palace, even if he knew what shit, Whitebeard, or Golden Lion. Sir Roswald, since you want to continue participating in the auction, please stop making trouble, or I will forcibly send you back to Marie Joyce. Sangoku frowned. No wonder that neither Garp nor Zephyr were willing to perform this kind of task. It was too troublesome. Humph. St. Roswald glared at Sengoku, then sat on the sofa and stopped making noise. Poor ghost. Seeing that St. Rosd was not making trouble, Chaos had a pity on his face, and then he took a puff of smoke and was full of disdain. This time, no one cares about Chaos anymore. This makes him lack of interest. Start thinking about what might happen next. Those ultimate boss who are staring at him are finally about to appear. You must fight, even if you know you will lose. 3 billion once. Twice. 3 times. Congratulations to Lord Golden Emperor for photographing this canine fruit weasel form. Yi's interrupted again to draw all eyes to herself. And Chaos played with the weasel-shaped fruit, and disappeared into the air with a quick throw. The next one is Zone Sheep Fruit Antelope Shape. The starting price is 1 Bailey. The new meowling waiter came on stage with a new devil fruit in his hand. This is already the 4th devil fruit. Worthy of being the king of maritime transport, devil fruit, which is rarely seen in ordinary times, took out 4 of them for auction in just a short while. 50 million Bailey. 80 million. 120 million. The competition started again, but this time everyone's interest was not very high. No one knows whether the Golden Emperor will continue to shoot. Saint Rosevard didn't make any moves anymore, he didn't want devil fruit. The reason for the previous bidding was entirely because the Emperor Jin was unhappy. 150 million, once. Yi Si has been secretly giving away to Chaos, this is the real boss. The flow between the fingers is a bit more than the price quoted by others. 150 million, twice. However, the other party did not answer with his own eyebrows. 150 million. Just when Yi's felt lost, the sky rained down gold coins again. That voice is so beautiful, just like she reached a high orgasm. Master Golden Emperor bid 1 billion Baileys, is there a higher one? Following the old man scholar's inventory, Yi Si scanned the audience. Billions, twice. 1 billion, 3 times. Congratulations to Lord Golden Emperor for taking the picture of this antelope-shaped devil fruit. Under the hammer of the auction hammer in his hand, Yi Si Nabo Zhongyi jumped specially for Chaos. Next is the almighty chef slave, who can cook more than 500 kinds of dishes, with a starting bid of 5 million Baileys. As the auctioneer clapped his hands, 2 guards stepped onto the stage pressing a bearded man with a slave ring on his neck. 6 million. 7 million. 8 million. Below, Chaos drank red wine, looking at the bearded man on the stage with dead eyes, couldn't tell what it felt like. This world is so cruel, everything including life will be auctioned. Only strength is the only way out. Deal, 9 million. In the end, the winner was a businessman who exuded Laozi's wealth. The second item, a slave woman from the Longhand tribe, has a starting price of 8 million. 9 million, 10 million, 30 million. In the end, it was auctioned by a nobleman. As the auction continues, more and more slaves of all kinds are being auctioned, including men and women, strong and beautiful, but these chaos are not interested. So I'm too lazy. Time flies quickly, 3 hours in the blink of an eye. First, there were 4 devil fruits, and then almost all of them were slaves of all kinds, as well as gold and silver jewelry, etc. The atmosphere of the audience was once again guided by EEC. Because the final auction item is about to appear. There are only the last 2 items left. I believe you will not be disappointed. Everyone knows that the Sea's secret treasure devil fruit is divided into 3 categories: Paramecia, Zone, and Logia. Among them, Logia devil fruit is hailed as the most powerful type. Marines 3 rookies Rear Admiral are Logia capable people. There were 2 Logia players at the scene. Those who can. EC looked at Peluzalino and Crocodile, and then gleefully continued, Logia's power is recognized, so I believe everyone will guess the next devil fruit. Yes. It is Logia Yunyan fruit, with a starting price of 1 billion Baileys. As Yeesee's words fell, the whole venue became noisy. It turned out to be Logia, the most powerful Logia in the devil fruit category. The atmosphere in the air has heated up, and every pirate group is bound to win, especially those pirate groups that have not taken action, as if for this moment. Whether it is Perispero, King of Color Change, Nobles, etc., they are all tempted. Marines 3 rookies, Logia, are now emerging on the sea to engage in trouble, and Logia's strength is obvious to all. The same goes for the King of the Desert beside the Golden Emperor. 2 billion Baileys. Marine turned out to be the first to make a move, and it was 2 billion. Even if Yunyan fruit does not have the lethality of lava fruit, sparkling fruit, and frozen fruit, as long as it is developed, it is definitely not surpassed by many devil fruit. Is it to make a 4th rookie monster? 2 billion. The scene was directly exploded, and some unpowered pirate groups ended from the beginning. 4 billion. 3 billion. The audience was suffocated. Everyone looked at Perispero's direction. 3 billion was exactly what he called. 3 billion is undoubtedly beyond the value. If it is the super destructive Logia like lava fruit, 3 billion is definitely worth the money. But the point is that this is a fruit of Cloud, and Cloud, you can think of Cloud when you hear the name, and what is the lethality of Cloud? Many people don't actually have much ideas. Just as soon as I heard Logia, my head started to bid. Was now woken up by 3 billion. But Chaos, who hadn't taken a shot for a long time, brightened his eyes. He is a man who has experienced modern network dying tanks. As long as Yunyangguo develops well, his auxiliary ability is definitely leveraged. Such as bells and whistles. The simplest function is to create a heavenly palace like Sky Island, when the fairyland-like pavilions, surrounded by clouds and fog, are not too fairy. There are also red clouds, fire clouds, rainbows, etc., which are simply not too beautiful. Moreover, clouds are also lethal. After all, there are many types of clouds, rain clouds and thunder clouds. Even more boldly think of the weather. So this devil fruit. Chaos turned his head to look at Stussy, who was drinking black tea gracefully. Maybe he noticed Chaos's eyes, and Stussy asked when he met him. Boss, you won't want to give it to me. Who was Stussy, and soon understood what Chaos meant. This devil fruit suits you well. Chaos snapped his fingers, and the climax that hadn't sounded for a long time began to cover all the sounds. EEC was the first to get wet. The gangster finally made a move. 5 billion. The old scholar swallowed. Master Jindy bid 5 billion Baileys. Is there anyone else bidding? EEC is not very excited. Even if 5 billion Baileys are far beyond the value of Yunyan fruit, you must know that the first devil fruit that was sold at auction also sold 5 billion Baileys. 5.1 billion. Perispero of the Big Mom Pirates increases the price again. 5 and 2 billion. The auction amount rose slowly again, but slowly. 5 210 million. 5 380 million. The bidding is not over. It seems that there are still some bigwigs hidden in the venue. But, jingle bell. The rain of gold coins kept ringing, and they were already piled into hills on the auction stand. 7 billion. The old scholar's voice was trembling, and he felt that the high blood pressure was coming up, and he almost came up without a breath of breath. The needle drop is audible. I don't know how many gazes shot at Chaos like a knife. Today they have seen what it means to be arrogant. What is rich? This is it. However, thinking of the goddess of the Golden Emperor, the faces of the pirates were deformed. The current gold coin rain is simply drizzle. Damn it. The more I think about it, the more angry. 7 billion at a time. Yi took a deep breath. Her rounded legs were slightly clamped, and her heartbeat almost jumped out of her throat. This is the highest price she has ever gotten from an auction, and it is a one-off. In the past, all the auction items sold out did not exceed 5 billion Baileys. As a result, today, it was too sudden. She had an orgasm before she entered the parentheses. 7 billion twice. This is Logia. Does anyone increase the price? Everyone here should know the power of Logia, as can be seen from the 3 Marine rookies Rear Admiral. YC was struggling for the last time and wanted to continue to stir up prices. But she wasted a lot of saliva and no one was auctioned again, and I was not fooled for all of them. She looked like a fool at Yi. F*K this is 7 billion, not 700,000. What's more, can Yunyan fruit compare with lava fruit, sparkling fruit, frozen fruit? The Golden Emperor spent 7 billion auctions of this fruit, that is the wealth of others. Didn't you force the number in your heart? Grass. This auctioneer is very insidious, he is still digging holes and wanting us to jump down. Hurry up. We are all waiting for the last finale item. 7 billion is not enough, eat shit. Many people couldn't help seeing YC still talking in lorry. Is their grievance not enough? He was still stabbing with a knife while sprinkling salt, deceiving people too much. YC's eyelids twitched, knowing that 7 billion was already the highest price. Celestial dragons and marine did not move, they were really poor ghosts. 7 billion 3 times, congratulations, Lord Golden Emperor. As the auction hammer fell, the transaction was officially concluded. After receiving Yunyan fruit from the waiter, Chaos looked back and forth, and then handed it to Stussy. Eat it. Stussy was taken aback and frowned when he took devil fruit. Finally, he peeled off the skin and took a bite. At the speed visible to the naked eye, Stussy's delicate face began to be distorted, bruised, and pale, like a pregnant woman, and began to retching constantly. Eat it all. You have to know that he swallowed even the skin at the beginning, and there was a smell of urine. On Thursday and Monday, everyone sighed secretly when they saw Stussy eating Yunyan fruit. I was thinking about catching the Golden Emperor in a while. Whether it was the previous 4 or this Logia, it would be something in the bag, but who would have thought that the Golden Emperor would directly let his subordinates eat it? In this way, the Golden Emperor has 2 Logia subordinates. When everyone saw Stussy closed their eyes and rested, they all looked at YC. Now there is only the last finale item left. Being able to rank behind Logia Devil Fruit, I think it is more valuable than Yunyan fruit. Wow. Under a piece of red cloth, the sound of water could be heard faintly. Several guards were struggling to lift up on the stage. Many people below showed doubtful expressions. Hearing this sound is the sound of water, could it be? Many pirates lose interest at once. At first glance, this thing is what the nobles like, and to them, the pirates who lick their blood, are of little value. Even if I caught it, I would sell it. The last auction item is a female fish from the Fishmen Island. The red cloth was removed by Yeez, and then a large fish tank appeared in everyone's eyes. There are 2 mermaids embracing each other. The larger one has long black hair and blue eyes, pale skin, and a blue fishtail on its lower body. The temperament is very cold, but now those blue pupils are full of fear, just holding the little mermaid in his arms tightly. The little mermaid is similar to the grown-up mermaid, except that he has short black hair and a pair of glamorous blue pupils. According to the age of a human, he looks almost 15 or 6 years old. Now he buried his head in the arms of the adult mermaid and shivered. Beautiful. Pretty. Miracle. Nature's most ingenious and perfect creature. Kyos was a little taken aback, not to mention the others. It can be said that the aristocratic and wealthy people in the entire hall burst. This is a pair of Mako shark mermaids. Even in the Fishmen Island, there are very few existents, but this auction caught not only 1 but also 2. The most important thing is the mother and daughter. The mother and daughter alone can keep prices up. To be honest, if you can, Chaos would not mind exploring the origin of life with that mature high-cold mermaid. You must know that this is not the legend of the previous life, but the real mermaid that has a tail. And the face is too exquisite. If in the last life is definitely the world's first beauty, this does not accept refutation. Please be quiet. On the high platform, YC knocked on the gavel in her hand. The noisy hall suddenly quieted down, and many people sat down excitedly, looking at the 2 mermaids with flushed faces and greed. This is a pair of mackerel mermaids. They are also rare in the entire mermaid family. The most important thing is the mother and daughter, so the starting price is 300 million Baileys. Good guy, taller than ordinary devil fruit. This is the advantage of a special race. And YC bit the words, mother and daughter, very hard, as if to imply something. This makes those aristocrats and rich people even more excited. 500 million. 650 million. 670 million. 7 billion. 730 million. The whole scene became hot again, and the price rose to more than 700 million in just 1 minute. In the eyes of these nobles, the price of mermaid is higher than devil fruit. The price of a female mermaid in the slave market is more than 300 million yuan. If it is auctioned, it is at least 500 million yuan. But don't forget that this auction is not an individual mermaid, but a pair, and most importantly, a mother and daughter. So the price did not stop at all. 8-10 million. Billions. Finally, St. Roswald made a move, 1 billion shots, making the whole hall almost silent. But this still can't stop some people from competing. 30 billion. 150 million. 1.2 billion. With St. Rosdy's second bid, some people turned off. 1.2 billion once. 1.2 billion twice. 1.2 billion and 110 million. A nobleman's face flushed, his eyes flushed. Watching the mermaid in the bathtub is bound to win. But look at that expression should be the limit. 1.5 billion. St. Roswald looked at the nobleman with disdain, his eyes exuding contempt and poverty, a little familiar. Amazingly, it was the expression that Chaos looked at him before. Do you want to bid, Lord Golden Emperor? Ease turned her gaze to Chaos, but she had ignored the others. The price of 1.5 billion alone is enough to kill a large piece in a flash. In addition, due to the identity of celestial dragons, the only one who can compete on the scene may only be the Golden Emperor. Just when Chaos was preparing to bid, he suddenly turned his head and looked at the auction gate, his expression extremely heavy. At almost the same moment, powerful figures such as Sengoku, Cranes, and Lonely Red all looked at the closed doors of the auction. Boom boom boom. Heavy and suppressed footsteps from far to near, full of rhythm like a heartbeat. The monster is coming, Chaos muttered to himself. Lonely Red smiled evilly. Sengoku and Crane looked ugly. Boom. The closed door shattered and flew, and the dazzling light suddenly brightened the venue. Many people closed their eyes subconsciously and opened their eyes when they got used to it. Almost half of the people were dumbfounded, and then horrified and terrified. The huge shadow pierced the childish knife, wearing a white gold-rimmed pirate hat, a golden wavy hair draped behind his head, and a broad chest. The pair of crescent-shaped white beards curved upwards, the signature is too eye-catching. The tall or thin figures guarded behind him, causing a heavy breath to sweep across the venue. How? How is it possible? Whitebeard. There is also the Phoenix Marco, Diamond JOZ, Foil Vista. It's the Whitebeard Pirates, it's Whitebeard Edward Newgate. Why is the super overlord of New World appearing here? The entire venue went crazy. The rich and the nobles held their breath, trembling all over, sat in their positions, and some even fainted. Kulala. Whitebeard stabbed the baby knife, strode into the venue with big hands, glanced at the female and female fish on the auction stage, and then looked to the Lonely Red with the black umbrella not far away. Beloric, it's been a long time since I saw you. I thought you were dead. Whitebeard was not at all polite, and there was not much fluctuation in his words. Newgate, you actually left New World. There is a hint of surprise in the emerald red eyes of Ji Yu Gao Jihong. He knows the character of this guy, and there is nothing important that he will not leave the sea area under his rule, let alone come to the Grand Line. Are you surprised? Don't leave. Wait for me to settle the matter, have a drink, and then have a fight. Whitebeard left a sentence and walked to the auction table. Behind him, Marco, JOZ and others nodded to the Lonely Red, which was regarded as a greeting. Lonely Red kept a wicked chuckle, as if expecting something. Newgate. Sengoku stood up with a serious face and guarded the two Rosevard saints behind him, fearing that Whitebeard would suddenly punch him. Sengoku, you shouldn't be bound. Whitebeard glanced extremely sharply at Saint Rosevard, who almost collapsed to the ground in shock. Newgate, don't make trouble. Sengoku took a step forward, his eyes sharp and tight, as if he would make a big move in the next moment. Kulala, I didn't come to Sabodi Archipelago for this group of rubbish. Even if you fight, it will be without any worries. Behind Whitebeard's coat, there was no wind and automatically, Haki awe-inspiring disdain to take advantage of Sengoku. If Sengoku is restrained in the battle between the two sides, he will not feel the slightest sense of accomplishment even if he wins. Without giving Sengoku a chance to reply, she looked at Yi's on the auction stage, who was constantly swallowing. I have some friendship with the Fishmen Island. I will give you 1,000 Baileys for this mother and daughter, is that enough? Enough. Enough. Drops of cold sweat flowed from Yisi's face into the white-stained wave and a ditch, and her snow-white legs kept trembling. Even if Whitebeard didn't release any momentum, she couldn't stop her panicking. This is Whitebeard Edward Newgate. Even if her boss, Ocean Shipping King, is here, she dare not say a word. The size is not on the same level at all. Very good. Marco, put them back into the sea. Yes, old man. Marco appeared on the auction stage out of thin air, grabbed the big fish tank with one hand and blinked and disappeared. If you can see Marco's movement in the presence, you can count it with two hands. Who is the Golden Emperor Gaia Kaios? One person suppressed the audience, no one dared to speak. But now no matter who it was, silently looked at the man who was still sitting on the golden throne, smoking his cigar slowly with his legs crossed. The golden throne turned automatically, bringing the two face to face. In the eyes of chaos, Whitebeard is very tall, 666 centimeters in length, very oppressive, and unusually young. Leaving aside the iconic crescent beard, just that long golden wavy hair filled Whitebeard with a domineering, bad and arrogant temperament. It turned out that Whitebeard at the peak of his youth was a bit fierce and evil in appearance. At least it looks like a bad guy. Chaos spit out smoke rings from his nostrils and stood up from the golden throne. He was only 2 meters tall and was a younger brother in front of Whitebeard, but he was fearless. Even a little excited. Cool lala. Whitebeard laughed. He didn't have the slightest fear in front of him. Instead, he looked down at him arrogantly. Although he was much shorter than him, the contempt was real. Be my son. The audience was silent, all eyes were stunned, and then they all swept towards Chaos. Ha ha ha. Although Chaos expected this famous quote, after he was really immersed in the scene, this sentence inexplicably annoyed him. He has to fight for the first place in death. Arrogant and high profile, no one is more rampant than him. Newgate, be my subordinate and become the most arrogant man in the world with me. Chaos was arrogant, pinching his cigar with 2 fingers, squinting his eyes and looking at Whitebeard arrogantly. Anything can be lost, but and arrogance can't lose. This is his personality. The needle fell in the hall again, and everyone looked at Chaos in disbelief, including Sengoku, Lonely Red and others. The Golden Emperor was obviously provoking Whitebeard. It's just dying. The identity gap between the two parties is too great. Cool lala. I like defiant young people. However, arrogance also has a price. Whitebeard laughed first, then looked at Chaos with interest. He has seen a lot of domineering and invincible young people, but in the end there is no good end. But he likes such an arrogant young man, but he still underestimated the arrogance of Chaos. Boom. The domineering will spread without warning, and he pressed over Whitebeard unscrupulously. Longevity. Behind him Stussy turned pale. From the time Whitebeard appeared, she was frightened, not afraid of Whitebeard, but worried that Chaos was going crazy. This man will never rest in peace. I'll look for trouble if I'm fine. Really. The situation she was worried about still happened. After talking a few words, conquerors began to be placed randomly. The object was not the young man, but the famous Whitebeard Edward Newgate. Withdraw first. The conquerors of Chaos only leaned over to Whitebeard, but the whole audience caused an uproar. The Golden Emperor actually took the lead. Is this courage or stupidity? Sengoku took the Rosed Saint and Idalia's palace to leave first, and he needed to ensure the safety of the two. All the nobles and tycoons rushed to leave the venue, and those who dared to stay were some pirates who had confidence in their strength. Conquerors, it's a bit unexpected. Behind Whitebeard's coat danced wildly, watching the arrogant Chaos's mouth outline. Those sharp eyes stared slightly, and in an instant, a stronger will swallowed the mountains and rivers mightily toward Chaos. Bang bang. The two wills collided in amazement. A blast of air pressure spread out centered on the two of them, and the surrounding tables, chairs and benches were all broken and flew out. At the same time, in the cloudless sky outside, black clouds billowed and thundered in vain. What happened? Heaven, sky. Looking at the dimly rolling clouds in other areas of Sabodi archipelago and the aristocrats and rich men who escaped from the venue, all their faces were pale and full of fear. Big news. Big news Morgans was mixed in the crowd, and the camera and videophone worms were constantly running. While the conqueror's collision between these two people did not spread out, immediately disperse the people around. Standing outside, Sengoku looked at the sky and the meeting place that was about to erupt, and quickly gave orders. Yes. Crane, send them back to the station first. Sengoku is ready to stay here. Sabodi archipelago must not be missed. The location of this island is very important. If Whitebeard is left alone, he is afraid that the island will be destroyed. Good. Crane nodded, with a solemn expression, taking away the frightened Saint Rosevard. Not long after Crane left, the venue that was depressed to ultimate finally exploded. The invisible air pressure was set off without dead ends, and for a while, flying sand and rocks exploded again and again. Crocodile and Stussy turned into sand and white clouds and appeared 1 kilometer away, watching with Joz and others. The black and red thunder in the center continued to flicker, and the two domineering wills continued to rise to resist, the entire sky burst into tears, and then the lightning flashed slowly rotating. Half of the Saboti archipelago began to shake, and the surrounding sea began to become rough. There are only a handful of people who can stand still within the range of 100 meters. The lonely red pestle never moved a step with the black umbrella, watching Chaos, who was fighting against Whitebeard, with great interest. Jingle bell. The sound of the golden leather came in vain from the black cloud billowing firmament. I saw the golden armored armor, chest protector, goggles, and combat boots falling automatically on Chaos as if they were alive, and assembling them at the same time. The black vertical hair turned golden, like a Super Saiyan transformed into a golden color, and finally the sword eyebrows and black eyes also turned golden. As the assembly of the golden battle armor was over, a trace of white mist began to float from the gap in the battle armor. Chaos slightly raised his head to enter the life return. The earrings worn on both ears danced wildly, and those golden eyes could not stare at all. Whitebeard stepped out. Boom. With a step taken, Chaos's momentum became stronger. When the distance from Whitebeard was only 3 meters, the entire sky began to break apart to form a sky, and an invisible collision was tearing apart. A trace of blood spilled from the corner of Chaos's mouth. From the sky divided in half, it can be seen that Whitebeard's side is split more, which means that Chaos lost in the collision of conquerors. But even though he lost, he still stood firm. Even more arrogant and domineering. Cool lala. Your conquerors is still almost on fire. Looking at the strong guy in front of him, Whitebeard was a little surprised. So I need a stepping stone like you. A large amount of white mist rises, and with that golden armor, Chaos is rendered like a god of war. What he said was extremely arrogant and arrogant. Turns Whitebeard into a stepping stone. It suits my appetite. Whitebeard took the naive knife in his right hand and took the lead. The huge blade was slashed towards Chaos from bottom to top, although it did not cover the armed color, the force was landslides. Rumble. The horror shockwaves overwhelmingly caused all the viewers to block their hands in front of them, and some were even blown out. How can it be? Incredible. The Golden Emperor actually blocked this blow. What a joke, that's Whitebeard. The black and red thunder in the center continued to crackle, cracks tore the ground, and storms swept through one after another. I saw Chaos stepping on the supreme sharp knife 12 workers Kongyun cut. The entire armor had been covered with the armed color and turned black and gold on his right foot. Whitebeard dared not use the armed color, he did not dare not use it. The air pressure continued to burst, and Chaos danced wildly in the goose feather coat behind him, looking up and looking at Whitebeard with arrogance. Faced with this provocative behavior of Chaos, Whitebeard laughed, his armed color covered the clouds, and even a white air pressure hood appeared on the blade. At this moment, Chaos's face changed drastically. With Whitebeard's force, Chaos just felt that the whole earth was smashing at him, and he couldn't resist. Click. Cracks in the black gold battle armor began to spread from the soles of the feet to the thighs, and blood spurted out of Chaos's throat, which turned into streamers and flew out, causing a huge explosion. Click. A wave of black and red thunders slashed down, and the surrounding wind swept the sand and rocks. At the end of a ravine tearing the ground, there were large mangrove trees on both sides, all of which were hit by the waste, and Chaos lay in the mud and coughed up blood constantly. The whole right foot is trembling. The power just now was as deep as an abyss, and he could hardly resist it. When the dense dust dissipated, Chaos got up and walked out of the pothole, looking at Whitebeard, who was pestering a cloud of clouds on the other side of the ravine. His eyes fell in Bingen and his heart sank. Just like facing Garp and Sengoku back then, Whitebeard placed unprecedented pressure on him. He is obviously stronger than before, but there is still a huge gap in the face of this monster. With just a collision, he knew it was not Whitebeard's opponent. But he will not back down. It is easier to grow up against such a strong player. Also more exciting. A pothole was formed at the feet of Chaos, like a black golden light, and he didn't intend to use the goddess. Seeing that, he planned to compete with Whitebeard with physical skills. He wants to make taiju and hockey go further. Ambitious. He really dared to practice with Whitebeard. Crazy. Facing the kick of Chaos sweeping the army, Whitebeard just raised his knee and easily blocked it, and Kong Yunshi with his hand smashed his head. Chaos's face was cold, and a large amount of white steam spread all over his body. It can be said that the firepower is fully on. Disappearing quickly and avoiding Whitebeard's naive knife, Chaos once again exploded, carrying a sonic boom, and rushing straight to Whitebeard's chest aggressively. Following the deafening collision, Whitebeard intercepted with his left hand without taking a step back, and gave up Kong Yunshi with his right hand to make a fist. Even the white air pressure hood did not appear. Chaos moved quickly, his left knee rose to the ground, but at the moment of the collision, a trace of pain flashed deep in Chaos's eyes. Unable to resist the force, Chaos smashed his whole body towards the ground, but Whitebeard kicked it sideways at this moment. His body shape was like kicking a ball. Chaos had only time to stop in front of him with his hands, and then he was hit and screamed. Pass. He broke many mangrove trees along the way, and finally turned somersaults in the air, falling to the ground and retreating continuously. Chaos's face is ugly now. He still doesn't believe that he can't even hit a mouthful of blood. Even if there is a difference in strength, it is impossible to be so disparity. A black and red thunder struck the sky, and Chaos once again disappeared in place and shot. The surrounding ground was torn, and Chaos swept the hall with wind pressure with one blow, but Zhang was still hot, and Whitebeard just stepped back and escaped. However, Chaos was also very fast, making a series of kicks immediately. Bang bang bang. The huge dull sound continued to explode, and Whitebeard's thick arms were wrapped in armed color, so that it was completely defensive with just one hand. 6 Styles Emperor Gun. Chaos's golden vertical hair was dancing wildly, and his black and gold battle armor appeared in front of Whitebeard with his arms as calyxes. This blow made Whitebeard's brows frown, and a white air pressure hood appeared in his left hand and Chaos banged together. Chaos just felt the power of moving mountains and reclaiming the sea, and the whole body was like falling apart, even the internal organs were shaken. The blood in his mouth and nose splashed out like a fountain, which looked a bit exaggerated. His hands clung to the ground and moved out. All kinds of mud and sand splashed, and after finally stopped, Chaos's hands were shaking. There was heavy footsteps, and Chaos looked up at Whitebeard who was walking by, stood up and spit out blood from his mouth. Although he looked embarrassed, his expression was still rampant. The demeanor never disappeared. Lifting his right foot and kicking them out in the air, the cross-shaped tempest kick swooped down in an instant, and cut the ground with ease. Chaos followed closely, and his figure kept flashing and approaching. Whitebeard's attack was still so unremarkable. One punch could not be solved, but 2 punches, the childish knife Kongyun cut the pestle behind him, and did not intend to use it. Click. The atmosphere in front of him was cracked like a mirror, and an invisible vibrating force was like a surging river, breaking the cross-shaped tempest kick in one fell swoop and forcibly forcing Chaos out of the trajectory. But Chaos quickly adjusted his body and rushed to Whitebeard again to attack. Whitebeard is still so slow. No matter how Chaos jumps up and down to attack, he can always predict that it will be blocked with just his right hand. Whether it's Conqueror's, armed color or seeing and hearing color, or strength, combat experience, Whitebeard is sure to eat Chaos. This battle is the same as the battle with Garp and Sengoku, it is not equal. After all, the gap is still a bit big. You know, Whitebeard, Garp, and Sengoku are all at their peak at this time. Even if Chaos's talent has risen due to his crossing, coupled with so many years of hard work, he still can't compare with Luffy, the King of Destiny. Boom. The earth's crust around him kept cocked, and Chaos supported the ground with both hands, his feet pointed at Whitebeard's chin like cannonballs, but Whitebeard was not in a hurry, his right hand intercepted in front of him, his chin was slightly raised and couldn't stop backing a few steps, but even he also counterattacked back. A left fist covering the air mask is a left uppercut, which makes Chaos's scalp numb. Crossing his hands in front of him, Chaos once again turned into a cannonball and flew out with the explosion of huge power. The earth turned upside down wherever he went, and thick dust was everywhere. When everything dissipated, Chaos stood up from the pit, his chest fluctuating and breathing heavily. The attack and defense he was so proud of were ruined for nothing. Cool lala. How about, be my son? Bear my name and sail freely on this sea. Whitebeard's oppressive body stood still and signaled Chaos to be my son again. Tui. Chaos turned his head to spit out the blood in his mouth. His expression was slightly pale but his eyes were very sharp, and the arrogance in his bones did not need to be concealed. He did not answer, but directly told Whitebeard with action. The soles of their feet exploded and disappeared in place, and when they appeared on Whitebeard's head, like a meteor falling through and falling strongly. Whitebeard's pair of Xuanyue beards trembled, his left hand clenched fist covered with armed color. Just like this, his front fist collided with Chaos's big foot. A large number of black and red thunders continued to spread from the collision position, and waves of air continued to sweep through. Behind Whitebeard's coat dancing wildly, his feet sank slightly into the ground, but he didn't take a step back. Chaos gritted his teeth, his eyes were domineering. But Whitebeard at his peak was too strong. With Whitebeard's force, Chaos flew out uncontrollably, smashing into the ground and leaving a gully. Before the mud and sand fell to the ground, Chaos leapt out of the dust and launched another attack on Whitebeard. Serial kicks, side kicks, spin kicks, right uppercuts, Chaos went all out with every punch and kick. But Whitebeard didn't even use shock fruit, so he covered his arms with his right hand and stopped all the attacks of Chaos in a hurry. I don't know how many times it was knocked out, and each time Chaos quickly climbed up and rushed towards Whitebeard, attacking with all parts of his body like crazy. Although he was vomiting blood all the time, the more he fought, the more excited he became. Slowly, not knowing when it started, Whitebeard's face gradually became serious.